All right. What a day, man. It has been crazy today. Sorry about the last minute adjustments. And wow, thank goodness it is finally Tasty Tuesday. Thanks for coming by, guys. I really appreciate it. We are going to be having a little fun tonight. Um, I've been looking forward to this in some ways, and in some ways, maybe not so much, but we'll get into that a little later. One of my favorite old progressive rock albums is by the Moody Blues. "In Search for the Lost Chord" is the name of it, and it's a classic. So I thought, what better to do than maybe try to find an offering from a distillery that's like the search for a good one, and someone that isn't notoriously known for having a lot of good offerings, and historically, minus England. England has this huge, overwhelming. They have this big momentum following in for Jura in England. I've noticed. Not quite sure why. But I never really had much of their stuff. I had a dram and a flight of scotch a long time ago, and it was like a three for basically. You started off with the Glenmorangie 10, then you went to a Jura 10, and this has been many, many years ago, so this was an older version, I think. And then they finished off with the Smokehead. Also, they threw in the Lafroig 10 sometimes, just a peated offering. So that was my intro to Scotch per se. And I didn't really think much of the Glenmorangie 10 or the Jura 10 when I first had it even. I was used to bourbon, pretty much growing up. And Glenmorangie was a little bit floral, but nothing major. Not really my wheelhouse at all. And then we went over to the Jura, and it had some interesting smoky flavor to it, which I thought was better than the first one to me for my palate. And then finishing off with the peated, I fell in love with the Freud with that smokehead blend, and ever since I've fallen in love with Ardbeg, Kilkerran. Oh man, Kilhoman, Ardbeg, I think I already mentioned Lagavulin. They're all really, really good. I like a lot of different peats over there. So in the midst of all this, I thought, circling back after 4 or 5 years of tasting every distillery practically, one I never really gave much thought to was Jura. It never was a big, flashing light anywhere. You don't see it like heavily advertised. They might over in England. Maybe that's why you see a big fan base over there. But it doesn't seem like it's not so much over here in America. Uh, they had a classic called Jura's Own, which is a 16-year. This was on their last line of releases. I was lucky enough to find that bottle, so that is one we're going to look at tonight. We're going to warm up with the Jura 10, and this is the new line. This is the basic one. In Search of the Lost Good Jura, In Search of the Lost Chord is the theme. And then we'll take a look at the 21 new one, and it's called Tide. There's a Tide and there's a Time. The Time, I think, is the travel retail. This is the one that's a little more readily available, I think. I could be off on the Tide versus the Time, but this is definitely the Tide version, if that helps any. Hey, it looks like we've already got a bunch of people. Juan, good to see you. It's going pretty well, man. Cohen, good. Let me get Malt his invite so he's not waiting. I know he just finished up over. Malt Muser's got a great channel too. Definitely check it out if you're not already a member or a subscriber. Subscribe here if you haven't already. I appreciate it. Looks like Cohen's good and from California. Always good to see you. Hopefully not Malt, Dram dude will be able to show up. He's from California as well. Lost Cause, did you find a good Jura? Please tell me. In all caps even. Well, that's gonna be on the radar here coming up. Hello, happy Tasty Tuesday. I appreciate it. Looking forward to this. Me too, man. It's been a while since I've come back to old Juraland trying to see. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It is a lot. The Prophecy, that is one of the classic ones that I've heard is one of their better drams. So if you're looking to get into Jura as an intro, I might not even go for the 10. Well, it depends. We'll come back to it in a second after we give some notes. But I've heard the Prophecy. I think that's the peated offering. Is that right, Ben? Is that the peated one, I believe? And let us know if that's next. You gotta find a good Auchentoshan. Yeah, I gotta talk old Malt Muser into thinking about possibility of grabbing an Auchentoshan on the side. I have my eye on a 21. I haven't pulled the trigger yet because it is a bit high on the old expense. And speaking of high on the expense,
I was almost ready for that. I got texted, and otherwise I would have totally been ready for that. What's up, buddy?
oh man, pretty good. Having fun with the guys, explaining to them about the old, Moody Blues album, In the Search of the Lost Chord. So I thought, let's search for the lost good Jura somewhere if we can find one.
That is our mission tonight, and we have chosen to accept it.
And Les Cause had a good point. There's another distillery that doesn't get a lot of great press. I've had some good drams by them. I do like the 3-wood. I like the American Oak to a point. The 12-year I've had. I mean, they're decent drams. They didn't blow me away, but I am eager to maybe take a look at that 21 sometime. So if you do see one, if you've ever looked, I'm not sure if you've ever had the Bartender's Malt or the some of their. Say again.
You talking about Auchentoshan?
Yeah.
I had the American Oak, or is it 3-wood? One of the two, something like that. It was all right.
Yeah. It's the 3-wood I preferred a little bit more because that one was a little more sweeter, had more of a brown sugar molasses kind of thing going. The American wood was kind of like the classic 12. It was just a basic good bourbon influenced whiskey. That might have been the one that you had.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to try to find a couple that hopefully we can find a decent one at some point.
Right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we're going to be doing Jura. I wanted to check in with you right quick, though, on which Jura you wanted to do first, because I want to get it in the glass. I'm, beaming a signal from the West Coast office, and so I don't have necessarily. I have one Glencairn, so I want to get it ready for me.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you joining us from California. I forgot you're in LA right now, aren't you?
Yeah, Huntington Beach, so a little bit farther down the wayside. But yeah, definitely.
That's still cool. You still jet lagged?
A little bit. I've been here since Sunday, so getting my sea legs, as it were, and it's been good so far. It's been good so far, and we were talking. I was mentioning a lot about the Jura on my happy hour, and folks had all sorts of opinions about it. So I'm quite eager to get into this. I warn you, though, I'm coming into this after tasting 2 single cask whiskeys, a 21 Blair Athol and a 21 Craig Ellachie, courtesy of friend of the show, Andrew Page. So I'm not sure what my palate is going to be like for this. So I'm going to say that out front.
No, I completely understand. This is an experiment, guys. This is not one of those things where I thought, what's going to be great that everyone's going to love to taste and it's going to be the talk of the town. That's not what I was going for here. I was going for more of let's take a look and just see if we can find something that's at least palatable out of all of this stuff. And it is one of those
Go ahead.
It is one of those distilleries. It's not well received as much in America. Over in England, they got a huge following. I'm not sure why. Distilleries, it's not I heard my voice come back for a second there. I think it's over. We'll start with the 10 to answer your question earlier. Go ahead and pour a little bit of the 10.
Ready.
This is the new 10, and then we'll be taking a look at the old 16, and finally the new 21. That's the kind of the way I thought it would make sense. Just go in year 10, 16, 21 and see what we get that way.
That makes total sense. I have never, for the record, I've never had anything from Jura. So once again, this is another fifth for your humble Malt Muser here. So I'm very excited to try this out, even though folks on the happy hour were colorful about Jura.
I can't say I blame them. And I will admit that one of these might be something that you don't like very much at all whatsoever, and I completely understand that if that happens.
Well, we'll find out for sure.
but I don't want to, I'm not going to say which one it is. I do one of these I do like actually a bit. So I think that you'll have fun trying to find the. I mean, actually, there's a couple there's one that I like a little more than the other, and there's one that I just can't. So,
We promise fun to people, so you're gonna be on a roller coaster with us tonight. Before I ask you if you've got anything new since the last time we talked, Telex, I wanted to let everybody on the show that I won't be here next week. So, Telex, are you going to be doing your live show as normal next Tuesday?
the plan is yes. I've been meaning to get with Kenny and Stephen Connor. Kenny's a friend of Stephen that I know through.
Great.
And he sent some really nice gems on the side, and I've been meaning to try to either just get with him and have a sip, or I was trying to see if he wanted to do a show or something. So I might just get Steven and Kenny to do like a drive-by. Hey, they are very special drams, but I think I might do that on the next. If they can make it Tuesday, if they can't make it Tuesday, I might just move it to a different day. But
Great.
the plan is to still have something on Tuesday. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, good to know. Thanks for clearing that up. And so, folks, as I was mentioning on the happy hour, if you're here from that, I will be offline next Tuesday, but. Do keep, if you haven't yet, subscribe to Telex the Whiskey Tech, y'all.
Same remote
notification, and he'll let you know, because he's gonna carry the torch while I'm away for a week, and then we'll be back on the 10th with I believe we're doing some space side stuff, if I'm not mistaken. Could be interesting.
Yeah, that was another one that I wanted to try to take a look and see if there was something we could find that was kind of off the beaten path, because everyone's doing the same, distilleries over and over. And I thought, well, it'd be kind of good to throw out a curveball every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. So have you got anything new in your collection since the last time we talked?
I talked to you guys about that Glencadam 21 that we're going to do later on with that Glencadam 13. And we do got the Macallan show coming up later down the road in December, or January. We got the Macallans, the 12 and the 18 will be fun to do. I do have my eyes on a couple bottles I need to talk to you on the side about to see. I know that you got a couple new ones recently, and I was going to try to get something based off for those. What was the new ones that you just got again?
Yeah, I was really fortunate. So in what has to be another one of those moments where you just stumble across something you never thought you'd find, I found some bottles of Lafroig 10 Cask Strength Batch 3 and 4.
That's right.
9-10 years ago. I got a couple of those. I have a 13-year-old Ballblair single cask 015. Or a 2005. So I'll be looking to open that eventually. And I think that's it for new stuff.
What I'll try to do is I've been looking. I noticed you found one of the older ones, and it is not easy to find the new ones for some reason. I'm going to try to find at least a new 18 if I can. If I'm not sure how much some of those other higher ones are, if the 21 or 25s are probably kind of crazy, but I'll see if we can find a new 18 to compare some of the older stuff, because you and I both had some good 90s, some 99s.
Yeah,
the 05 is a good one. We'll take another look at that one. Maybe we can try a new one and see if we can tell the people about that, hopefully.
Totally. Yeah, that'll be fun. Cool. So with the housekeeping out of the way, do you want to jump into Jura?
Yeah, I really appreciate you being on the show too. I was playing drums tonight a lot, and all of a sudden my wife says, "Aren't you going to still do Scotch night?" So I was kind of running haphazard, trying to get all my stuff hooked up. And so I sorry about the guys not announcing it on Twitter like I usually do. It's been one of those days where I can't tell if it's Monday or Tuesday sometimes.
May every man find a wife that reminds him that he's doing Scotch night.
Yeah, she even said, "It's not like I want you to go down and drink a bunch of Scotch, but."
Hey man, you got a winner. That's super cool.
That I will definitely agree with you on that.
What's up with Jura, man? What can you tell us about Jura? Do you got any interesting beats on the distillery? I'm coming at this as a total Jura virgin. You want to in a quasi-sexual way. I don't know anything about Jura, so I'm into it.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is Jura is in the islands area, not Isla, but it is near Isla. It's funny because to get to Jura, you have to kind of go to Isla to get a ferry to get to Jura. It's one of those places that's really hard to get to. It's kind of out there by like Talisker and Arran, those other islands distilleries, out in the middle of nowhere, basically. This one, we'll start with the Jura 10. This is on the new bottling. I'm not sure if they did a label change on the packaging, but it's pretty easy to spot. It's kind of a gold tin, nothing crazy fancy, but it's all about what's in the juice anyway. Now this one we're going to start with is only 40% ABV. So out of the box, I'm kind of disappointed about that, but there are some really good 40%, ABV whiskeys out there on occasion.
Yeah.
The good news on this one is that it's ex-bourbon finished in Oloroso sherry butts. So we've got the bourbon, American white oak bourbon barrels that are the maturation, and it's finished in aged Oloroso sherry butts. So you have kind of a nice bit of both worlds. You don't have all of one. So that, makes it a little more intriguing, at least, in that deal. Let me see.
Jura is not only a distillery, but an island, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the only distillery out there?
On that particular island, I'm not honestly sure, but I believe so. Let me see if they have anything, nearby that they talk about. It's funny because Jura is just this area on. Lag is a new distillery that they just started.
Right. Yeah.
Lag is the new one that they just and supposedly they have some good juice out at Lag. Their new make. Haven't tried it. Don't know anyone that specifically has given notes like I have on Ardnahoe being really good, but I have heard good news like coming out of that area. I don't see any other places besides that one. I mean, there's some other areas, but nothing as far as an actual like there's a Bothy that's over there, a lodge, but nothing distillery wise that I could see.
Mm-hmm.
Other than like Isla's right next door, like Portishead, for example, Ardnahoe, Bunnahabhain, those guys are the closest to that distillery that I can see. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know much about the process. That's the only thing that I didn't really do a lot of looking into is like how they make it. But it really is all about what is in the glass.
Yes, that is very true. And why don't we dive right in?
Yeah, they don't really do a whole lot other than, the whole a touch of peat brings a rich and bonded balance of subtle smoky notes with sweet sherry cask finish. It is warm in color with aromas of fruit, cracked pepper, etc. Rich and rounded balance, subtle smoky notes with sweet sherry cask finish. They really don't really give you a whole lot of notes outside of that. They don't really... They don't really put a whole lot outside of the what's on the bottle either. Have a little nose and see what you think.
Will do. Give me just one moment. I'm going to be right there.
Sure. Yeah, on color, they don't talk about the coloring per se, but I really am suspicious if this darkness on a 10-year. I mean, that's a bit much on a 10. It is Oloroso sherry, but for sherry to be that dark, you would think that they would have to be.
I'm sure they've added color to this. That's pretty dark for a 10 if it's only just finished in sherry. I don't know.
And I can't find anything as far as specifics on that. And I'm assuming that this is unfortunately chill filtered because of the low ABV and the fact that they don't mark it at all, which is kind of a.
Yeah, at first it's sweet and a bit savory to me. There's like oranges. There's a little bit of raisin, maybe. There's also, I don't know if it's smoke or like charcoal, but there's a little bit of something going on in this. Is this peated?
This is not technically what you would consider peated. No, this is going to have some smokiness to it, and I think that's what you're getting out of the nose on the side.
Yeah, there's almost like a meaty quality, savory, very savory, rosemary. I'm thinking like a steak almost. There's like something kind of savory in this, but it is mostly dominated by kind of orange and kind of, some other fruit.
Yeah, I'm getting also a little bit of red fruit. Not a whole lot by any means, but just a little smidgen of red fruit. Like a strawberry.
Yeah.
On a lighter side. But yeah, you're right. The first note that I got out of this dram, honestly, was oranges, was the first thing that came to mind.
There's also a little cinnamon, maybe like just barrel influence. I don't know, but cinnamon seems to be.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a spice kick on the nose too. I know what you mean.
Yeah. There's something else in this that's kind of unique. I can't put my finger on it. It's musty in a way, like Springbank, but not. It's like if you took the mustiness of a Springbank and cut it down 75%, there's just like a hint of this kind of old warehousey kind of. You walked into a garage.
That's true. It does have and it's funny because it's only 10 years, so it's surprising that it has that note, but it does have a bit of a musk. And I think it has some remnants from that smoke, or probably.
There's I don't know. This might be going on a limb. There's like a sour, like slight, like fermentation. Like a fermented. I don't know. Almost like kimchi.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like bibimbap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
like the funkiness of that
pickled, not as strong as sauerkraut,
but
like
right.
But like a pickled beet or a pickled radish.
Kind of an interesting nose.
Pickled radish in a little bit.
Yeah, it smells rich.
Yeah, it's not unpleasant. It does have some kind of a side kick to the savory. I think you nailed it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Mortlock in that aspect.
Yeah, definitely.
Not bad, but
Yeah, no.
It's hard when it's only 40%. That's my biggest beef with this guy. Apart from the coloring and chill filtering, I'm not a fan of. But I'd much rather have coloring and chill filtering than a low ABV.
Yeah, I think a good whiskey should be good at 40%. But the problem is that most 40% whiskeys aren't good. If you know what
exactly.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Cragganmore 12, maybe an exception, but like.
Here's a good question for you and the fans. When you're looking at, and I love Roy has that great ABCD, the age, the ABV, the color, the chill filtering. What is it that you rate? Like, if you were going to say, is the ABV the most important thing to you? Is it the age? Is it the coloring? Or is it the chill filtering? Kind of rate them for me, how you look at whiskeys in general. I'm just curious. You don't have to think of it right away. Hopefully, somebody in the audience also can type in a couple options of what they consider.
I definitely have. I can give you mine, but we'll let folks go first.
Like for me, I think the ABV is extremely important, and probably even more so than always age, coloring, and chill filtering. So for me, it's going to be ABV, and then year, and then it's going to be the color, and finally the chill filtering. Because if you take care of the ABV, you're not going to usually have to worry about chill filtering. I'm maybe a little bit different than you on this one.
We see some folks are adding their thoughts in the chat, I think. Let us know if you have any opinions on this. For me, it is ABV is 1, chill filter is 2, age is 3, color is 4. And I think it's because ultimately I don't think, again, I'm going to step out on a limb here, or maybe I'm going to throw the or yell fire in a packed movie theater. But I prefer obviously like the most natural presentation. But I'm not convinced that color does anything to diminish flavor the way chill filtration does. And so, like, to me,
that's a good point.
Like, I just don't think I've never had anything that screamed out, "Oh yeah, like the colorant in this is just stripping this," because usually when they add color and it's also non-chill filtered at 40%, like you know what to expect. But yeah, I'm with you that ABV I think is most important. But there are a lot of young, like cast strength can be a way to mask age, right? Like
True.
Turn up the ABV, turn off the age statement, and like you'll get the flavor blast, but it's also hot and kind of messy, and you don't really get the full maturation. So like age and the non-chill filter is kind of like fighting for the 2 spot. But I think an unaged, high ABV, non-chill filtered whiskey, I feel like I'll get the most out of it. And then, yeah, age statement is important. And then I honestly don't want colorant in it, but I don't feel like it diminishes the whiskey the way maybe some people with more sensitive palates do.
You did talk me into making a switch. I'm going to say ABV, and then I do like a really good age, so I'm going to keep age as my second, but I'll flip flop them. I'll say chill filter. I'll say the coloring first, and then the chill filtration first. Flip them back.
Chill filter third, color fourth.
Yeah, the color I'll say is the least. The chill filtration is more important than the coloring, like you said. So, yeah, I'll do chill filtration and then coloring last.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously like people got their own opinions on this. It pisses me off just because it signifies just like cheapness and like an interest geared more towards marketing than good malts. Look, I understand it's a business; they got to sell whiskey. And like coloring isn't the worst thing. Bourbon doesn't color at all. Like it's illegal. But of course, because of that, climate, atmospheric pressure, all that, like you get more color anyways.
Yeah.
With Scotch, I mean, like straight up, let us know in the chat. If you had a good Scotch, it's got an age statement, it's got high ABV, and it could either be chill filtered or have colorant added. Pick your poison. I think everybody would choose. Yeah. As he throws his good whiskey on the floor like a wanker.
Yeah, we're not crying for him.
Everybody would take. This is why Glengoyne needs to reverse their stuff. They need to. Who cares about put colorant in it? Just stop chill filtering it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go in for a taste and see what you think about this. Hopefully. Now, I know coming from the great drams that you just had, this is not going to be what you were looking for, but hopefully you've had a bit of a clear the palate a little bit at least before you go in. Wow.
What is that? There's something. So it arrives pretty medium for me. There's some sweet fruit. There's a little bit of spice. But man, when it gets towards the end of that palate and into the finish, there's this kind of like, I don't know what it is. It's like a pastry it's like doughy. It's like a pastry without the icing.
Like sourdough bread kind of thing?
Yeah, sourdough bread, exactly. Medium finish, just not very interesting. Honestly, the nose was much more interesting than I think anything so far. And mouth-watering. Like the savory is there too. There is almost like a meatiness to it. It's similar, like you said earlier, similar to Mortlock. But Mortlock, I'm thinking of Mortlock 12 here.
Right.
I think is just a much more interesting whiskey.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what the price point on this guy is. If I remember, let me look and see. It wasn't crazy, but like you said, if you can get the Mortlock 12 for a better price, then why go that route? For me, this one, I did get the fruits and the spice kick that you got initially as well. I do get the smoke, which I do appreciate the smoke, because if you're doing like a Dalwhinnie 15 or a Glenkinchie 12 or a Glenmorangie 10, you're going to just get your floral Highland basic, deal. One thing that these guys do give you a tinge in it. I'm not saying it's always great, but it does have that little hint of smoke in there, which does give you that sourdough savoriness. I do admit that there is a little bit of a bitter metallic into this, which I'm not a huge fan of either.
There's like a sour. It's like if you combined. It's like if you ate a Sour Patch Kid and a piece of Hershey dark chocolate.
That's a really good combination.
Weird sets of flavors. It's bitter and sour, and those are like distinct categories of this.
No, I'll agree with you there. It is the beginning, the nose. It starts out good, and then you go down the hill, and you're still pretty good on the initial palate, but that's when it kind of just falls into oblivion.
Yeah, this is weird. I've never had. I mean, it's very singular and unique, but I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, and you're right. The closest thing I could think of to compare it to is really because I mean, you can't say a Longmorn because Longmorns have really nice spice and flavor to their whiskey. This one's more.
It tastes very muted. It's like the flavors are there, but they turn the volume down halfway. It tastes very base. It's very there's nothing dynamic about this whiskey. It's kind of flat. It's kind of, you do get a little depth of spice as it goes, but it's kind of overcoated with this, again, this kind of bad dark, cheap dark chocolate with a little bit of sour bitter.
You're not even giving me the Ghirardellis, man.
Yeah, no, this is not.
Is this Russell Stover's?
This might be Russell Stover.
Oh man, how dare you bring that?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm just not interested in this. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
No. That's not the point. The point is that I'm not interested and you shouldn't have sent it. The point is you sent it because that's part of the fun, and I've never had a Jura 10, so why not? But if I was, what do you think a bottle this is? $50?
This runs about 55 to 57. So do you know what the price point for the Mortlock 12 is? Was it about the same or higher?
A little bit more. Mortlock's, it's probably in the mid 60s. You hit the nail on the head in comparing this to Mortlock 12. But I gotta say,
spend the extra $10 and get the Mortlock. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'm gonna just. What the hell? Let me just put a little water on this.
Yeah, just to give it its just due here. I'm not sure. I'm not at 40%. I would definitely make it extremely. Get your eyedropper out.
Man, doughy. You said sourdough. I think that hits it. Even just straight up regular dough, just yeasty dough. And again, there's this kind of bitter, sour, I don't know, this funk in the background. It's not overpowering, but it feels it's not overwhelming, but there's not much else coming out that it can't not be overwhelming. You know what I mean? You get some apricot, there's some orange, there's some medium red fruit, but it's indiscernible. I mean, if anything, it's red delicious apple, but it's not acidic.
Yeah, I'm getting a candy, a candied apple in the nose now.
Yeah. The nose is quite pleasant.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. If you're the type of whiskey connoisseur that likes to nose more than palate and finish, then this might actually be up your alley, and it might be worth the $55 just to nose it, because it is really a very pleasant nose before and after water, I think, for a 10-year. But if you're going to, spend that kind of money for 60, 65, if you can get the Mortlock 12, then it's definitely more an interesting dram. It sounds like that's the definitely better way to go.
Better with water, white chocolate, nutmeg, white chocolate, eggnog type thing.
Oh, wow, that nutmeg really does come through a lot with the water. Wow, you're right.
Finish is like, I don't know, short, medium.
Definitely on the shorter side.
Mouthwater. It's mouthwatering for me. Very mouthwatering.
I do like it better with a drop of water, believe it or not, even at 40. Isn't that crazy?
For sure.
I think it does bring some, at the very end, almost like a cola kind of, a dried cola kind of a flavor. But I wish it wasn't as dry mouth watering like you're saying, because it's kind of funny because it does make you want to drink more, but yet without the drop of water, though, it's like you definitely want to give it a drop before you start drinking it.
I mean, even though there's Oloroso in this, I mean, it's not like, or sherry, like it's whatever. It's not like a tannic sherry drying. It's like a kind of just wet wood oaky drying, and not dynamic in any way.
No, you're right.
It's very flat. It's very just, it's there.
I'm trying to debate on whether I think it's like a flat average or if it's below average, or it's going to be really tough to score because it's like, you're right. It does not hit many marks at all. It loses on a lot of the craft of it. It doesn't have a good finish. It's not good neat. That's a tough one, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll throw up a score in my final thoughts. So yeah, I think this is pretty uninteresting.
I like that American White Oak a little bit, but yeah, it's tough.
It could have a little bit more going for it, but I feel like it's been stripped of all of its vitality. I don't particularly enjoy the later end of the development and finish. I feel like it falls off into kind of a bland base, not intriguing set of flavors. The bourbon is much more prominent than the sherry.
True.
Not even really in a good way. I mean, I'm a 2.25 on this, which is try before you buy. I think, I mean, especially at that $55 price point, like I couldn't justify somebody buying this at that. I mean, I would try to tell them you got to try. Like, you really have to like this palate, and I mean that by saying this isn't even a good representation of the savory sweet palate, but it's got the hallmarks of it. Yeah, I mean, I'm 2.25, and that's almost generous. I mean, would maybe go 2, but I think the water actually helped it. Yeah, I'll sit with 2.25, which is, for me, try before you buy.
Yeah, no, I think you're dead on. And the only thing I would say differently is I do like there is this bite you get from the American White Oak in this, and I do wish I'll agree with Malt that I wish that the sherry influence was more present on this one than the bourbon, but I do appreciate that bite of bourbon that they give you on the side with water. It is much better than without. It is got this almost metallic minerality. Oh man, it's got this funkiness at the end with the finish, and I just couldn't handle that very much. The nose is pretty good. But once you get to past the nose and that initial good palate, the middle palate afterward and finish is when you just have a derailment. So I'm kind of thinking, well,
yeah,
I'm going to go 2.5 on this. I don't think it's as good as a good average whiskey. That's my 3. I do think it's below that. The only saving grace definitely is the drop of water. I hate the craft of this one. That's why I'm also keeping it on the lower end. I don't like the chill filtering coloring. I don't like the 40%. At least they threw a 10-year age statement on there, I guess, but that's like the only thing that's giving it legs to barely stand on.
Right. But it belies the otherwise boringness.
This, I mean, honestly, to me, this would be good to have on the bar if you do have folks that, if you're around people that are kind of getting into scotch and you want to try something that's got a little bit of smoke in it before you even talk about peat and other flavors like sherry.
That's what Highland Park is for.
Yeah, but but
Well,
Highland Park is peated, and I'm trying to get people into the smoke without the peat. So this is the only thing that Jura can give you that's hard to find that no one else really has is a smoked dram that doesn't have like peat in it very much, if at all.
peat in this?
There's no peat in this at all. No.
Interesting. Okay.
The it tastes like you would think, but that's where I think this.
I mean, you don't really get the effervescence. I agree. Like the peat, you can have a peated whiskey that's not very smoky, and you get that like effervescent. Like I agree with you. That there's a lot of that.
I stand corrected. This does have a combination of slightly peated and unpeated barley in the makeup. So you're right. There is a little bit of a peat in this. I guess yeah. If you were going to go this direction, honestly, Highland Park 12 probably is the better option by far.
It's cheaper apparently, and it's cheaper and 2 years older. Yeah, Highland Park 12 by a mile. I know that it's a different peat, quote unquote, but like
Yeah.
if you're trying to set somebody up for like, hey, this is what a peated Scotch is, dip your toe in the peated water, as it were. I would go Highland Park 12 over this pretty much any day.
The only thing you got to be careful of with Highland Park is their heather and their matchstick thing. This doesn't have that, but the thing that they do give you that you might not like in this is that mineral sourdough note that was kind of off-putting. So if you don't, I guess if you go to Highland Park 12 and you're not a big fan, try this and vice versa. That might be but I definitely would, if you do have an option to get a glass of this in a bar, and most bars do have this as far as like a side offering in a flight or something, I would definitely go that direction before investing any money in this brand at all.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Jura 10, you got a 2.25 from the malt and a 2.5 from Telex. And we're going to continue on the Jura journey as we have 2 more to do. We're doing a threesome tonight, man.
Malt's like, what the hell are you doing to me? It's probably what he's.
I appreciate it. I've never had Jura. This is fun.
You're in for a ride.
That's what we're here for. We're here for the ride. I'm not hating. I know you got to try. You got to try stuff, and it's always fun to do. So next up, we have a Jura 16 and a 21. Do we want to jump right into those, or I'll pour the 16 next and get myself ready for it? And
I'll give you the Reader's Digest about this one while you're pouring. I was never a big Jura fan or anything like that. I was tasting lots of different.
Well, your Jura tattoo. We all know you had the Jura tattoo.
Yeah, tramp stamp.
You had a Jura tramp stamp.
Could you imagine if somebody had a Jura tramp stamp? How bad that would be.
No, because here's what it would be. It wouldn't say Jura. It would have some of those old NAS symbols they had of like the superstition, or somebody was saying on the happy hour, elixir.
It'd be like this.
Yeah.
Symbol in their back.
The like, some type of mystic thing.
I'm gonna have bad dreams now, man. Anyway, but
I was a girl that has any juris.
That's one thing I bet in this whole entire world you'll never have to worry about is finding one of these symbols when some girl's back somewhere. Maybe in England, but I don't think that'll happen. But in trying to find, all these distilleries and trying to find a good bottle of representation from each one, when I was going through and I had that, I had an old Jura 10, which was kind of similar to this. I think it was a little bit better than this one. The old one had a little more smoke, but less mineral, less sourdougness to it. So I think that was a plus, but I still was trying to find something a little more higher end that would be a good representation. The one that I kept hearing about from everybody, as far as, people into whiskey that had enough to know what to get versus what not to get. A lot of people said, try the 16 Jura Zone, and this is not available anymore. Actually, I got lucky. I had a bottle where I was trading to get this one from somebody else, and he did a drive-by during COVID. Bob H., thanks so much for doing the old trade, because I tried to find one bottle for myself, and I just couldn't find it for sale anywhere. But this is the one that, some people say if you're going to drink a Jura, this is the one to try. So I figure, well, if both of these new ones, if they're horrible, at least maybe we might get lucky and have a decent dram tonight. This one is weird because mine is 43%. The ones overseas, I think in England, are 40%. So
yeah, that is not. I mean, that's actually not very weird. There are a bunch of whiskeys. Lefroy 10 is an example. Lefroy 10 over in the UK is 40%, and there's a bunch of other ones too. Apparently they jack up the ABV for the Americans. I mean, I guess lucky us. But.
Thank goodness, man, because this at 40 would not be as good. I do know that. I'm pretty sure, at least. And going off the notes, this one's going to be ex-bourbon and ex-Amoroso sherry. So that's a kind of a twist. You don't see a lot of Amoroso sherry options out there like you do with PX, Oloroso, Fino, Mazzania. Those are the ones you see a hell of a lot. The Amoroso, I don't see very often. Do you see that as much?
No, the Amoroso, the only thing I think of is the Talisker Distillers Edition.
Oh, good point. That is one that does do that. You're right, and that's one of those kind of just off the wall, rare, good. It's a good one.
I love that one. You know what? Before we get into this, speaking of things you don't see finishes in a lot, I did gallivant my way into a Total Wine here in Orange County, and what did I see on the shelf? But get this. Glenmorangie 12-year-old Malaga cask finish.
Malaga?
Yeah. Do you want to know the only other whiskey I've ever had that had a Malaga finish? Yellow Spot 10. They have a 12-year-old Malaga cask finish sitting on the shelf. I'm tempted to buy it.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Is Glenmorangie, you said?
Right. I never saw any news about this. I don't know if it's a limited release. I don't know if this is like part of their core range now, like the Quinta Ruban and the Santa. They have a Malaga cask finish, 12-year-old age statement, 43%. What?
Let me see if there's any information I can get real fast on it.
Yeah, it was just sitting on the shelf at Total Wine. I didn't buy it, but I was like, I've never seen that before.
Can you spell Malaga for me?
Malaga.
Okay, yeah, Malaga cask finish 12. Wow, okay, 47.3%.
Oh, it was 47. Okay, I was wrong about that. Yeah.
Finished in first fill Malaga Dulce wine casks, 12 years. That's all they tell me. It's got two. I mean, I'm just looking on Distiller. A couple people rated it 4.75 out of 5, but there's only 2 people and I didn't do any write-ups for notes. So it's kind of one of those. Yeah. Oh, it's the same guy that did it twice. Never mind. So one guy really, really likes it so far. It must be brand spanking new. Yeah, if you can pick one up, I would definitely. If you don't mind, if you have the cash, I would definitely.
I do. I just don't know how I'm going to get the bottle home. But what I might do.
Oh yeah.
What I might do is just buy it and then drink a whole bunch of it and then put it in samples bottles and just pack it up and take it home with me.
You could, or we
have to, right? Like we have to. Like, how can I not buy that?
That would be something to see, because I honestly haven't heard or seen anything regarding that. Only the cake was the only one new that I heard.
We could do a show with that and the Taylor cake.
That would be perfect.
All right. Now you're convincing me, man. I'm fired up about it.
I'm trying to think of. I wish there was an easy way you could just mail it to yourself, but that wouldn't be easy to do unless you had really good packaging.
I'll figure it out. I will do my best to grab that thing and we'll see what happens.
If you have any friends in California, they might be able to do that for you too. Possibly ship it like after the fact or something, maybe. Yeah, that's a tough thing when you're across the country.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm glad you made it in one piece, though, man.
Thank you. Yeah. hopefully I didn't get COVID, TBD. But we'll see.
I've heard that they're really they did this experiment with people on planes, not to get off too off the rails, but did an experiment where they had people with masks, and it with the ventilation systems, it's 99.99 gets it out of the air. So I mean, I'm thinking that
it's deceptively safe to travel. I mean, I don't recommend you do it unless you absolutely have to, because we probably by this point, each of us, and definitely people in the chat, know people who've unfortunately caught the vid. Avoid it if you can.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to get on any planes. I'm just saying to make you feel a little bit better.
I mean, I had a 2-hour layover, no hair, so all bets are off when you're in that hellscape. So
yeah.
But with that, and obviously LAX, not fun. So what's the tail of the tape on this Jura 16?
Yeah, this is the one that people said to try. This is a 16-year-old. This is 43%. It did not come with a 10, he said, or he, lost it amongst the years ago when he first got it. But this one is the Ex Amoroso Sherry and Ex Bourbon. This is non-peated. It's aged for 14 years in American oak before being transferred to an Ex Amoroso Sherry cask. The name is Juras with Diurach, refers to the inhabitants of the Jura Island. The whiskey is very accessible. The Isle is not. Most people get a ferry or fly to the Isle before getting another ferry to Jura. Not much other information besides that on this guy, but hopefully this will be a bit better than that first guy.
Let's dive in.
The coloring, I'm suspect still, even if it is at 16.
I'm still getting a similar nose from the other Jura, which is to say, not bad. There's definitely some dark fruit. It's darker fruit on this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting more smoke already on this guy, thankfully.
I'm actually not picking up much smoke, which is good. I mean, I suppose when you say it, I can get it.
If you're not getting smoke, it might be more of like a chocolate, like a dark chocolate kind of.
Yeah, I'm also getting some lime, like a kind of vibrant lime that's like bursting through, and otherwise, again, the overcoat of that kind of chalky. I don't know what it is. There's a little bit of like medicinal iodine going on in this too. Yeah, much darker on the fruit spectrum for sure. Sweet, savory. Again, sweet, savory.
This one seems better balanced on the nose, at least a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm getting definitely more chocolate.
Hazelnut.
It's kind of like a mix between, like hazelnut, dark chocolate, and milk chocolate, but all kind of thrown together.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Again, great nose, but I'm a little trepidatious about what's about to happen. Given what we just went through.
Hopefully, it'll be a little more kinder on the palate on this one. We'll see.
Sure, a 10 was unkind. It was that it was uninteresting.
Gotcha.
All right. What's the ABV again?
This is 43, so at least 3 more than the last one.
All right. Well, let's launch on my friend.
Let's launch on that.
Okay. Vanilla.
Yeah, to me, that palate is so much better than that last one.
And there's some good spice pepper note to it, almost like chili pepper.
Yeah, it's chilies.
It still has, and I'm going out on a limb here, that characteristic Jura note, like we were talking about with the 10, of the kind of like.
It's there, but it's, to me, thankfully, it's got so much other stuff going on that I kind of forget about it, to be honest with you, on this one. But
there's much more vanilla. There's much more bourbon influence for me on this. There's some oak char. There's some dark chocolate. There's some dark caramel, brown sugar, a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of cinnamon, and then there's a little bit of citrus. This is much better, understandably so. Yeah.
I wish that white oak bite was still in this one. It's not as much here, but I do like all the other things that have come up with that minerality, savory, sourdoughness going down a bit. It is a bit still, it's got some issues, but I'm just thankful that it's a bit better than that last one.
Yeah, it's definitely better. I wonder, when you say issues, is that like there's just nothing popping? Or is it that because like there's something about it's mealy. There's something about both of these that like everything's kind of base. And I don't mean it in like it's balanced. Like you have a bunch of dynamic flavors, but they're balancing off each other well. It's like everything is just muted. It's like it's shaved off. And you're left with, I mean, this is, I'll be honest, this is 2 times better than the other one. But it's still, yeah, there's a mutedness to it. I'm getting a lot of bitter baking chocolate on the end of this finish, which I'm quite enjoying. I just wish the development was a little bit more of a high before it went into this.
Yeah, this one's kind of like one of those weird coasters where you get on and you're coming out and you think you're going to go up that hill and do the whole climax thing, but you have a dip before you even get there. And then you get up this big hill and it gets better. And then you have this thing where you go so far inside, you come in before you go out again, and then you finally get to the finish, and that becomes a little more enjoyable. Like I think they do well on the nose. The initial palate is better on this one, except the middle palate before you get to the finish.
Yeah,
there's something missing. It's like I think there might be so much of the savoriness going on with the chocolate and the smoke and the fruit in the sweetness needs to pop more. Something needs to
happen. Yeah, what he said.
This one is much better, but and I do like that bacon chocolate note that you were talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's
covered espresso beans.
If this is the spectrum and this is your sweet side and this is your savory side, it's unfortunately I think a lot more savory than sweet, and that's where I kind of wish there was a little bit more like the orange or the tangerine, or if they want to go like strawberry, raspberry, or if they wanted to go, mint, something to counter all that. And they have some really good savory notes in there, but it's so borderline, like it's like 60. This is like 70% cacao instead of like 60.
Yeah. Fair. I'm gonna go with a little water. I'm gonna see what else happens here.
Yeah, that's one thing I had never tried is with a couple drops. Let's see what we get.
I just spilled on myself, so.
Oh. Yeah, I'm glad that at least you thought this one was a bit better than the last one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Okay. You want to know what's happening for me now with water? This tastes like brandy, man. It smells like brandy. Candied dark fruits. Water has really done some justice in this. I'm getting more like dark grapes. There's like currant dates.
That really brought the fruit out.
You want to know what this is? You want to know what this is like teetering on the edge of? Like a Bunnahabhain 12.
With the water, your nose is dead on. Yeah, you're right. It does kind of remind me of that Bunnahabhain 12. Really nice rates and raisins.
Yeah, big time. And then it just has that echo of like a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of like old bookstore. Okay.
The water did it. You're right. The water did increase.
Now, man, it's really picked up.
It made the nose a lot better. Hopefully the palate does too.
Yeah, well, as we've seen, the nose has been the shining star.
At point, yeah.
Okay. Hey, this is the best nose I've had off the Jura tonight, so this is good. Raisin, vanilla, plum. Okay.
It does handle water well. I'll give them that at least.
Yeah. I'm gonna go in for a taste. Mm. Mm. Okay. Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better. It's still more muted than I would want, but I'll tell you, like,
Right.
this has gotten everything is again. It's a, like you want to listen to Van Halen, but you're listening to Bell and Sebastian.
Wow.
Whatever. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. I'm no Van Halen fan, but
Wow, man. You went from Van Halen to Bell and Sebastian. I've seen Bell and Sebastian live in DC during Constitution Hall, man. You're like one of my favorite bands, but I
no,
can
I'm
never.
not hating on him. I'm not hating on him at all.
No, I know. I just never have in my life have heard anyone put Van Halen and Bell and Sebastian in the same sentence. You get props for that one, man. That was awesome.
I thought it was Dream Theater, but it was Death Cab for Cutie. I don't know.
There you go. There's another two that I've never seen compared before. Oh, wow.
I think it's a lot better with water. I don't love it, but I think it's more like personal taste opinion. I think this is much more dynamic with water. I'm getting more of the lime. I'm getting more of the, again, that it's Bunnahabhain. Bunnahabhain is the thing I can compare this to.
This is the rare time that the lime doesn't blow me out. And it's funny because I do get the lime note that you were talking about too. But thankfully here, I guess because there's so much of that savory and other things going on, it doesn't like put me off as much as it does like on an Ardbeg 10 or something like that. Yeah. I do appreciate it more now that I've had it more often. But
I think a Jura Mortlock shootout, because man, I've only had Mortlock 12, but I can tell you right now, like this. If you poured both of these, 99.9% of people couldn't tell the difference.
Wow. Well, the sad thing about this particular one that we just had is no longer available. So it's it's funny because they had a line and they had like they had the prophecy, the superstition. They had a 10. They had a 16. Did they have
the Miss Cleo? Did they have the Miss Cleo?
Miss Cleo?
The Dionne Warwick?
Wow.
I'm just fucking around.
No, it's like I'm just trying to think of the years. The 1821, and then they scrapped the entire line. This was a couple of years ago, and then they started off with just a 10. They don't have the 16 anymore. Now they just have the 18 and 21. I don't know if they have. I know they have a couple like typical NASs and whatnot, but I'm not sure if they have anything between like 12 and 18 anymore. I don't think they do, which is kind of sad. But this was the one that people said if you're gonna get a Jura, hold out and and get one of these old ones like the 16 being one of the better ones. I've heard that I can't remember if it was the prophecy or the superstition. One of those is supposed to be pretty decent too. I've never tried it though.
Yeah. So this is a step up for sure. I'm just not. What? By the way, just for my own reference, what do you think the average price on this is?
Now that's a good question. Now give me 1 second because this is not something readily available anymore. Let me take a quick look. And one of the places I like to go searching is Wine Searcher. If you're not familiar already with, they got a pretty good site that kind of scours and.
I'm very familiar. Yeah.
But let's look and see if. Looks like it's only available in Brooklyn of all places, and one in Spain for like $75, and that's a damn good price. I think it's a damn good price for this bottle.
Agreed.
If you can get it still, and it says 750 milliliters, Jura 16, free shipping from in Manhattan. $75. I think it's well worth that. I mean, this particular one that we just had, I would go up to maybe $100 for it. I'm not sure how much more I would go past that, but I probably go around, $90 to $100 for a 16-year-old is not, But with that said, now typical prices are not going to be that low. I have a feeling. I'm not sure if these guys just don't know what they have a discontinued bottle there or what, but
Yeah.
I would say that you might see this being sold aftermarket for around 100 to 125. I think I spent around what would be equivalent to like a Tamdu batch type price. Let me see what that is right now.
You get a little peppermint on the end of this?
Yeah, there is a little bit of a peppermint note on the finish too. Yeah, it looks like the Tamdu batches tend to price around $82 to $85, and that's about what I traded it for a batch bottle that I had. I already had the 1, 2, and 3, and 4, so I figured, well, since I found a bottle for a friend that was looking for an older batch, I figured, I wanted to try this bad enough where I thought, yeah, I know I'll probably end up liking the Tamdu batch strengths. They're better whiskeys. But just to get the chance to try an Examoroso sherried Jura that you can't get that is supposedly pretty decent, I thought that's a pretty good trade, actually. I don't feel any buyer's remorse, from it. Even though I do love a Tamdu batch 1, 2, and 3, and 4, but I think it's worth $75 to $85 easy.
Yeah.
But if you see this above 100,
sipper only. Like this is a sipping whiskey only. Like I don't see versatility with this. Like what cocktail does this go in?
Nah,
Rob Roy with this,
That's true. To me, it's one of those whiskeys that I think is good for like a dessert wine instead of a port. If you're usually the type that likes to get coffee after dinner, you might want to go with a glass of this kind of thing.
Yeah, you nailed it. All right, man. I'm ready to go. Final thoughts on this one. Definitely a step up. The price, while discontinued, seems to be, relatively okay. I think it fundamentally holds the character of the 10 in that it's sweet, savory. So you have the, the dark, like the kind of dried fruit, dark fruit. You have that mealy kind of savory note, this kind of base muted taste to it. This isn't a very dynamic whiskey either, but it has a lot more complexity. I don't think it's bad by any stretch. I think it's a whiskey that for most people's palates, like you really have to be into this. And it is akin to Mortlock to me in that sense. I'm going to go 2.75 out of 5, which is still try before you buy for me. Just because I think at a 3 for me is like, buy it at a good price. Now, it has that sourdough, like sour beer thing going on. And I don't mean like a sharp sour beer. I mean, just kind of like a background effervescence of it. That's just very yeasty and doughy. I don't know. This reminds me very much of the Westward American single malt that I've been sipping, but I think that's just a lot more like bold. This is still subdued, has complexity. Yeah, I'm gonna go 2.75 out of 5, and I think it's still try before you buy.
That's cool. To me, this one I enjoyed a bit more. Not a whole lot more, but just a little bit. I was already a fan of some of the more straight savory drams, like a Longmorn or a Mortlock. So the sourdough thing, I do have to be in the mood for it. If I was sipping this blindly and I didn't know what I was getting into, I might not like it right away. If I'm going into it knowing that it's going to be more savory than sweet, but this one does have some nice sweet aspects to
I agree.
Counterbalance that. I'm not going to go crazy high. I do think it is better with a couple of drops of water too, which is a good thing.
Water is your friend.
Being 43% with this helps a lot. Not being only 40, when you're adding at least a couple drops. But It does have some things. I do wish that there was more fruit, like medium rare. I'm sorry, medium red fruit was involved, like your strawberry, raspberry.
Yeah. Totally.
I wish that was there. I wish there was like, if not that, if there is this like hint of mint. Maybe if they brought the mint even more forward, like if it had like characteristics of like a Craigellachie or a Glencaddam, it might help if with that kind of thing. But they don't have that going for them either. I do think it's just slightly better than average on this particular 16 year. I think it's way better than the 10 for me, but I don't like the coloring. I don't like the chill filtering. I think this one is. Let me do a quick test just to see, because usually I can tell by just gives me a good excuse to pour more too. I can usually tell by doing the water trick and seeing if it flames as I'm doing it, if it's chill filtered. Yeah, this doesn't. It's not. I'm not getting what I was expecting to get, so I do think it is chill filtered.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bad deal. But I do like the higher ABV and I do like the year, so that's going well for it. I think I'm going to give it a 3.25, and that's going ultra nice, all cards pushed in. That's a. I was leaning towards a 3 because I do think it's at least average, but I do think with the smoke, I do like that savory after note that finish with it kind of still simmering. I didn't like it as much in the 10 that I do with the 16.
Yeah.
It's one of those bottles that if you do see it and you see it underneath $100, I think it is worth a pickup just for the experience. But
yeah, I agree. I'm
that's where I draw the line.
I'm close to agreeing with you. But not quite there. So there you have it, folks. We got a 3.25 from Telex, the Whiskey Tech, and a 2.75 from Malt Muser. I need to take a brief intermission to get some water and wash out my Glencairn for the Jura 21, which will be doing in the sec. So I will be right back.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it. Let me pop in and see how you guys are doing. Hope you guys are. I know it's not something that you typically see a lot of Whiskey Reviews do shows for these, but it's good to know if you've never had the distillery and you're kind of curious and you're like, which one should I bother, putting in money to get? Hopefully, this will at least help with some of that. Yeah, good luck on the incoming hurricane, Trooper. That sucks that you're down there, man. It's weird with this Zeta, Ada, and they're gonna run out of letters before long. It's just crazy. Waiting for the winds to pick up tomorrow. Oh man, hurricane party. I think I'm not sure whether that came from. I know they tried the 16. Now that I've finished the superstition after the P, it probably would be meh. Are you talking about the 16 we just had there, Cohen, or which 16 are you trying? I'm just curious. Had tuna steaks. That sounds good. No coloring in the 16 and everything else except the 10. Oh, so the no coloring in the 16? You're saying is that the deal on this particular one? Because I didn't have any notes or any verbiage saying otherwise. That's why I assumed that there was going to be color in this one, but I'm not sure if you're talking about the same whiskey or a different one there, Cohen. Let us know. Nika, oh man, I love some Nika. Answerbrook Lottie. I think I will keep Jura off my dance card. Yeah, it's we'll get into where to go for a good Jura here at the end. I will tell you what to do if you are interested in finding a good one. There are good ones of typically any distillery out there. You just have to know where to look. The 21 could be amazing. Henry, I have been down there a couple times. Yeah. I've got the 21. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Do you have the same Tide time version, Trooper? I'm just curious because there is a time. This is the Tide version. There's the one with the time on the top and the Tide on the bottom. It's a little different. I'm not sure. Hopefully, you've got the Tide one if that's the one you're comparing it to. You let me know. He's not going to take the gamble. I don't blame you. You were comparing these whiskeys to bands. These are Backstreet Boys. This one goes to four. Oh yeah, the bands. The song for this dram. Oh man, yeah. The tin was a bit abrasive and a bit rough. And I usually give higher marks. For me to give something a 2 point, I think it was a 2.5 or 2.75. That's pretty rough. So there you go there. A riot here in LA would be a hurricane week. Oh, man. Yeah, stay safe down there, man. Let me bring in Malt back here.
Hey. Yeah, I got the Jura 21 in the glass, so I'll let that sit for a little bit, and I'm going to finish the rest of that Jura 10, I guess.
Look at the indies if you want to find decent trade. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later there, Steven.
Nika from the barrel, hell yeah.
Nika from the barrel is a really, really good
$5. Yeah, buy without hesitation.
I got my brother from brother in Dubai. Oh, okay, cool. You have a brother in Dubai? Jeez, man. You're all over the place. Which has a very unique bottle design. Yeah, they do have kind of a. They do have. It's almost like they do like the hourglass look for their bottles. It's kind of interesting. I do like. I mean, it's easy to carry around and all that kind of thing, but yeah, that's like the only thing I liked about that tin. Henry Tess thought I was being disrespectful with the hurricane party comment. No. I don't think anybody's being disrespectful at all. No, you guys are fine. I just hope that yeah. What are you drinking tonight, Stephen? Out of curiosity, I just want him to be careful because I know he's down there with this hurricane coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Zeta is making its way towards a Trooper down there on the oil rigs in Louisiana. So I said,
Lost Cause. Lost Cause is right down there. If he's in the house, yeah. And Daniel, not far from there. You all be safe.
For sure.
A rough year for them. I mean, a rough year in a rough year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm still glad I did get that bottle of 16 though, just for something a little different. I do like the smoke of it. I do wish that there was more fruit involved because I think if that Jura 16, honestly, if it had the vanilla and maybe like the strawberry raspberry flavor, it could hang with like the Highland Park Twisted Tattoo. It could have that vibe if it had that flavor. But
ooh, I don't know about that.
It doesn't have the flavor. I guess I should catch myself because it's like saying if I take something and I put a bunch of stuff in it, it'll make it better.
That was a different dram. Could it be better? Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, the age statement is just a number, but it matters. But yeah, I agree with you, like theoretically on that at least.
If it had the fruit.
Honestly, man, have you ever had a Loch Lomond 18?
I'm trying to think. I know we talked about doing a show in Loch Lomond. I've had their Inchmurrin 18, which is the peated version. I haven't had the straight up version before.
I almost think Loch Lomond 18 is better than that 16, and it's cheaper.
Oh wow, really?
Very similar in profile. Yeah, very similar in profile. You'd be surprised.
That's surprising. Okay, I'll keep my eye out on that because I know it's a really cheap price too for that 18.
Yeah, get it. No, it's worth it. It's good. It's not amazing, but it's worth the price for $65 for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, Cohen, I agree. I was reaching when I was trying to think of a way to make it even better, but
what's up with Jura, man? What is up with Jura? What's going on? I'm like, again, it's never been on my radar, and for it's just because people don't talk about it, and so I've never bought it. But I also was like curious, because like think about Aaron, right? Here you got an island. There's like one, at least at the time, there was one distillery on it. And Aaron stuff is pretty good, Well, come on, Jura. Like, you got to represent your home, man. Like, you're the only kid on the block, and you're going to, like, pump out this boring shit. I don't know.
Especially when you go for the What was the distillery you just mentioned?
Loch Lomond.
Yeah, comparatively. Oh no, the other one,
Yeah.
the Aaron. Yeah, Aaron's doing a really great job with their new.
Yeah.
Their new line is the 10, the Bothy quarter, the 21. They got some Sauternes cask maturation going on. They got a lot of good stuff in that new line.
Yeah, man. That I have that quarter cast the Bothy. Good stuff, man. Really tropical. I enjoy it.
I need to get a bottle of that. The only new one I had was that 21 so far, but
I'll get you a sample. We'll do another Aaron show.
it was so good. That Aaron 21 was so good that I thought, you know what, I would definitely take a chance. I think didn't Ralphie just do their new 10? I think recently.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, take a look at. I think he just reviewed their 10 not too long ago, and I think he gave it a pretty good review. So it'd be worth a look. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think the Macklemore was okay for me, but that quarter cast the Bothy was right on, man. Very unique, very different. God, I keep going back into this 10 and
Don't forget to add,
it's just not. I mean, it's
don't forget to add the water to it.
yeah, right.
That definitely needs a couple of drops. You were dead on about that.
I mean, both of them I thought got more interesting with water, but yeah, there's just something about their fundamental character that that is connected to both, and we'll soon learn about the 21. But again, it's that kind of the savory, kind of like meaty, but it's very base. It's very flat. It kind of like overcoats everything. It's you said it when we were doing the 10 tasting. You said Mortlock, and like, man, this is wee witchy, but I think the wee witchy is even more interesting.
Wow.
No, I do.
Yeah, you're right, Cohen. I became a politician in that last comparison. No, I'm not that bad, man.
By the way, you Americans, get out and vote. Most of you got early vote going on. Go vote.
I'm not that bad with those scores. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes I'm a little giving, but I'm trying to keep it real because honestly, a 3 to me is a just an average whiskey. If it's below it, I will definitely tell you. And that Jura 10 is definitely below. To me, the only difference between Malt and I so far is I thought the Jura 16 was a little bit better than average. He thought it was a little bit less. But I think we're kind of in the same. This is going to be the real interesting one. I think of the whole night is going to be this 21, man.
Better be. I'm excited to try it. I mean, I am with you. Like a 3 is probably around average, which is for me. I do. The only difference between Telex and I is I try to incorporate like whatever the price is at the time into my scoring on it, but it's a minor difference in an otherwise like imperfect and subjective science. That said, I would say that this. I kept thinking like, let me just say this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun when you and I do Loch Lomond, because I want you to remember tonight, and I want you to remember these Juras. And then when you try that Loch Lomond 18, and I want you to think back to the Juras and ask yourself, like, oh, the similarities in profile are there. And I want to know, like, if you find more complexity or more interesting things in the Loch Lomond, and then we can have a good discussion about that. So we should do that, in January for sure. Because I'm real curious, knowing your palate. You have a very distinct palate, and you have a very pinpoint on a lot of things. It'll be interesting to see if you find the Loch Lomond to be more your liking than some of these Juras. That said, we have a 21-year-old Jura in front of us.
Yeah, I'll definitely save the 16 and a little bit of 10 for that show, and that way I can do like a little shootout amongst myself kind of thing.
Do it.
Let's talk about this 21. All right, now
what's the tail of the tape?
The Jura Tide is one of the 2 21-year-old malts released by the Jura Distillery in 2019. So this is a new one in their aged vintage series. Tide matured in American white oak ex-bourbon barrels for 21 years and finished in virgin white oak barrels. Bottled at 46.7, It's expected to be released sometime in 2019 or to be announced, but we already have it. So there you go. 46.7, 21 years. There is one called this one's called the Tide. The other one's called Time. And I think the Time is the one that's travel retail only. This is the one that's more readily available, I believe, as the typical 21-year-old. But we'll see how it goes. The frosted bottle kind of makes me feel kind of weird.
Look at that.
I don't like the frosted bottle. It's kind of.
Does it change colors when you put it in the fridge, like the Johnny Walker White Walker? I hope not. I hope not. If that's what they're doing, we shouldn't even bother with this tasting.
This is one thing that I've never done. I can definitely say, even as a newbie, I never put a bottle of scotch in the fridge. Thank God.
No. I mean, if they're telling you that you got to put it in the fridge, like you inherently know, like
turn around and run away.
It's shite.
Oh man, this one, like when you look at the year and the ABV and the ex bourbon and the finished in virgin American oak, and you see that you're thinking that it's going to be cool. Now, I will say that on the last one, I forgot if it was Cohen or someone else. I think they said the 16 had no extra coloring in it. I'm kind of surprised, though, because it looks a little dark for me. But if that's the case, then this is probably original coloring. But I don't know, man. You would think that they would put it on the bottle if it was original color.
Well, don't always expect that. Wait until we get to Ben Romick. You and I are going to have a field day with Ben Romick. I can't wait until we do our Ben Romick tasting, because, boy, do I have a story to tell you about that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be doing that in like the next month. Dude, I'm going to hold it back, but that's going to be fun when we talk about where they place information about coloring and chill filtration. That is going to be a good show.
Now, I don't want to skew your review in this at all whatsoever, so I want you to go through everything first.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give it to you exactly how I
You're going to give it to me how I want it? Is that what you said?
Well, it might not be how anybody wants it, but you know what I
mean. You aim to please, and you do, because you sent me a 21-year-old Jura, a 21-year-old fucking single malt. So let's dive in, y'all. And just to make sure you know all the information. Now, the first one we talked about was 57. The second one was more of like 80, 85 in the high end. Now, this one was a pretty penny. This was like upwards of 2 something. I want to say it was 220. 1 second. Let's see if I can find the actual receipt on this guy. Give me 1 second. Yep. But only reason I'm telling you is just so that you know how to give your score later, you know, as far as how you're factoring in the value. It was 130 pounds. So if you're doing 130 pounds, I mean, you get 30 pounds for shipping. I'm not $80, something like that. We'll do 160 for pounds, right? So 160 pounds, and we're going to do USD for US dollars. That is $210, we'll say. Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure you are aware of that before you gave it a score, because I know that you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. All right. That's right. So you go ahead and do your thing, and I'm just going to go along for the ride. And do everything first. Do it with your own pace, and then I'll just catch up with you in the end. Okay. So immediately, I noticed 3 things. 1, it doesn't have that sourdough bread kind of yeasty note that the 16 had in lesser quantities than the 10. A lot of dark fruit. It's very cavernous. It's very like musty. There is cinnamon. There is nutmeg. There is allspice. So this is again sticking with the profile, but it doesn't have that what I was just saying, that kind of like sourdough bread thing. I'm not getting as much of that. What I get here is a lot of like dark fruit, plum, raisin, fig. There's also some like better berry fruit, red berries, deep cinnamon, caramel. There's also a little bit of like a cedar chip sawdust thing going on, which I really am enjoying.
Good. That's a good catch on that one. I was wondering if you would see that one.
Gingerbread. Very nice nose. Very nice. It's relaxed. It's subtle. It's complex. It's what you expect from an older age whiskey.
It's got a little bit of a bonfire in the back there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's a bit of smoke. Winner chicken dinner on the nose here. This is it's relaxed. Again, which is something that we found constant across the Jura tonight. It's relaxed. It's not, again, this is a 21-year-old, so it better be relaxed in terms of its like complexity, but this is delivering on that. And a lot of cinnamon, rich cinnamon, like cinnamon swirl, cinnamon frosting. There's some cranberry.
Yeah, like a bitter berry kind of thing.
Very nice on the nose.
Huh.
I mean, it's zesty. If that makes any sense. I mean, you are smelling a cinnamon currant pastry that was just baked. I'm really enjoying this nose. It's very heavy. It's very robust. I'm digging it. Oh, and as you go further, grapes, dark red grapes, vanilla frosting. Okay, all right. You know what? Jura 21, by far the best nose we've had, and this is by light years. Excellent nose. I'm very excited to drink. Do you want me to just go straight ahead with the tasting here, or do you want to do your nose?
No, go ahead. I think you honestly nailed it pretty much. You even came up with a couple notes that I wasn't getting it from the beginning, but when I was listening to you, I was like, yeah, you know, the couple with the frosting was a big one that I wasn't getting at first. When I came back, I was like, yeah, he's right. There is a bit of like a frosting with the cinnamon.
You walk into a confectionery and it's like fresh sheet cake.
Yeah, it's like a cinnamon strudel going on in there.
Strudel. That's the perfect. All right, here we go. Sweet, spicy. The savory note is totally gone on the palate. A lot of cinnamon, hot cinnamon, like cinnamon candy. You have also cinnamon stick. You have mulled wine. So I'm talking like nutmeg, allspice, clove, kind of mixed together with a nice dark red wine. Robust. The sweetness, as it developed, it's like it gets drier. There's cinnamon, a lot of cinnamon in this, a lot of cinnamon, nutmeg. And then as it kind of like goes into a nice long finish, I'm getting a malted milk ball, very similar to the 16, chocolate malted milk ball. Little bit of like maybe a slight hint of coffee. There's some dark grapes. There's some dark dried fruit. Goes into a nice long finish. Now in the finish, at the very end, as I exhale and inhale, I'm getting a bit more of that signature sourdough. And it's only coming through there. And it's complementary, not overpowering. Quite nice. There's also a hint, and a very slight hint, of a tropical fruit. And I want to say it's like kiwi. It's not sharp like pineapple. It's more in the kiwi or whatever, if I can think of it. There's an apple.
I think you nailed it with the kiwi. It's interesting that you pulled that out because I didn't get that, but not now. Yeah.
Okay, this is, yeah. I mean, this is better. It was only at the finish that I started getting that kind of bready, doughy, yeasty sourdough thing, which, admittedly, I didn't quite enjoy on the palate of the other two. But with this, it's like an accent. It's not the main show. You know, it's the warm up band, not the main event. And you said this was around 210 American.
Yeah, don't forget to add a couple of drops too.
Oh, I will. Okay, I'll just go ahead and do that now. Yeah. So I just put maybe like a half teaspoon. Oh, it's so dusty. It's so dusty.
Do you look at when you look at whiskey? One thing I noticed that you don't usually talk about, which is it's not a bad thing. It's just something that you might not get into as much as I do. Do you look at the mouth coat of a whiskey that much, like the thinness or the thickness?
Yeah, I think this one's in that medium range. I mean, maybe I don't articulate it as much, and so that's actually a really good point. I think this is in that medium range.
Yeah.
But as it develops, it gets bolder. So with water, much more grapes, like again, dark red grapes, raisin, fig, dried fruit, cinnamon. It's baking spice and dark dried fruit. Like that's what this nose is distilled down. Very nice, very warming, very like you can tell this is a robust whiskey just by smelling it. There's a little bit of that citrus accent, but it's very subtle. It's lemon, not lime. Mm. Mm. Yep. Oh, that's good. Oh, even with water. Again, it's a trifecta. Water, again, seals the deal, makes it better. Vibrant, chocolate, hazelnut, caramel, brown sugar, light brown sugar. Very bourbon heavy. I'm going to guess this is primarily bourbon cask, but there is some dark, cordial cherry. There's a bit of that, again, musty sourdough thing, but it's complementary. It took 21 years, y'all, for Jura to make that signature note balance out with everything else, but it's doing it here in this 21.
Yeah, it's 21 years in the this looks like the American white oak for 21 and finished in the virgin white oak barrels. So mostly you're right. It's dead on, pretty much ex-bourbon, just finished in those virgin American oak casks.
Yeah, there's the peppermint note is at the end, but again, it's rounded off. It's not sharp. It's not demanding. Okay. Very core base. Again, savory, dark fruit core. Very good. This is delicious. I'm into it.
This is the weirdest whiskey. I want to tell you something before you even go into your scoring mechanism. This is kind of really strange to me. I want to give you kind of a heads up what happened. Now, I got all three of these around the same exact time, right? And the first one I opened was the 10, and I thought, it was okay, and I had kind of a similar. I think I liked it a little better at first because it wasn't like an absolute horrible thing like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
it didn't end up being like something that I would look forward to farther than just like a good first pour of the night, get your palate kind of revved up kind of thing, kind of like you would do for, with a Glenmorangie 10 or Glencairn or something like that. I didn't think much of it. I thought, it is what it is. And this one didn't surprise me tonight at all. Now the 16, I thought was, it was not as good as I thought it was going to be with all the hoopla that I heard. So that part was a little bit of a letdown, but it was a bit, to me, I know it wasn't a huge difference for you versus the 10. For me, it was a pretty big difference. Now, when I tried this 21 the first time, to be honest with you, dude, I thought it was a drain pour. I thought it was horrible. The first time I poured it, and I'm not sure. Now it's not like that. Now I'm actually enjoying it. It's really strange. I poured it, and this happened 3 times, and this is why I thought, well, I better warn him because he's going to be like, "What the hell did you give me? It's that bad." So I poured it, I let it air out for 21 plus minutes, and I came back to it, and there was this flavor that was so cloyingly. It was
Cinnamon Crunch cereal, like
say,
the milk that's left over after you ate a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal.
yeah, it is exactly like that. It was like so powerful that I was like, no, 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 no. This is a drain pour. I could nose it for a bit, and I could even get it in the nose. It was so bad. And then I tried to pour it, and I sipped it. It was so god awful. I thought 0.25, poured it down the sink. I was like, no.
Shit, really?
Really. And then the second time, I thought, you know what? Maybe it was the neck pour. Maybe it was just that bad. So I went and I went back to it. I gave it another 20 minutes in the glass, came back, gave it some swirls in the nose and the taste, and same damn thing. And I thought, you know what? This is crazy. I just spent $200 for this bottle, and I'm not even going to drink it. That's sad. So I thought, you know what? Well, lesson learned, and this will be good to do a show on, to show that, sometimes you think you're going to get something good, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Because that happened to me with an Octomore 7.3 bottle. I love the Octomore 7.1, and absolutely my favorite Octomore I've ever had was a 7.2 French Syrah. That was glorious. The 7.3 is one of those experimental Isle of Barley things where it tasted a lot like durian fruit. If you've ever experienced durian fruit, it's absolutely horrible. To me, I can't stand it. So it was a drain pour. I gave the bottle actually to one of my friends, Mr. Lee Gabbard. You probably know him.
Yes, Aquaman
Lee Evolve. So I gave the remnants to him because I thought it was that bad. Coming back to this, it's crazy because I poured it with you, and I thought, if I do this now, it's going to butcher this review. So I'm just going to not say anything. I'm going to let you go first. And lo and behold, I'm going along with you, and it's not even the same experience as it was the 2-3 times. This is like night and day better.
Real talk, man. Real talk.
It's crazy.
I'm actually.
This is like night and day better.
Real talk. I'm actually like going to be doing your live show as normal next. What is that?
I hear myself coming through than you. That was weird.
I'm going to tell you this. This is doing Jura well. Like, this is Jura in its, like, the constant, the form that we saw in the 10 and the 16. And I thought the 16 was at least a half point better, if not arguably more than the 10. This is doing it justice because it's diminishing that sourdough thing for me, and it's bringing forth an incredibly cinnamon heavy dram. You want to know what I would compare this to? If I could think of, like, off the top of my head in my own limited knowledge, Compass Black Spice Tree.
And I've heard that's a pretty good dram too.
I enjoy it quite a bit. Now the Spice Tree is 3x less price, but in terms of the conversation we're having tonight and the tastings we're doing tonight, this is exponentially better for me than the other two. Yeah.
And the weird thing is, now coming back to it after it oxidizing for a bit, I mean, I'm not at the end of the bottle, but I'm about a third way down, I guess you call that, right?
Yeah.
And neck pour, even down to about the top of this bottle, man, I was like, I'm going to have to, like, either just hold this for an example of what not to do in a whiskey, or I'm going to have to, like, give it away or something. And then I swear, when you were going through your notes, that note is not there anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't get why. How did that happen?
So much cinnamon in this. So much cinnamon, so much baking spice on the palate. It's drying, but it's not super drying. Like, I think the 16 was more drying than I would have expected. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is You said this is like a $200 some bottle. I mean, this is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. This is like a buy it at a good price, but try it if you can. Yeah, I dig it.
I got 3 words for you if you do pick this up. Three. Hold on, that's more than 3. It depends on how I say it. Because I was just going to say.
What he says, he says 3 to 5 words. So you got 5 words max, man. Lay it on it.
No, it was a lot more. It was more than that. But basically, I was just going to say, decant that sumbitch.
Yeah.
Decant that son bitch. Now, son of bitch is one word for me now, but it could be son of a bitch, which is 5. You get what I'm saying, though. But decant that son of a bitch, because that out of the bottle, I guarantee you, if anybody tasted that, like, didn't let it air out for, I mean, a god awful long time, they will drain pour it. I'm telling you, it was that bad. It was 0.25 out of 5 for nose, palate, and finish from the beginning. Now, coming back, I'm with you. I'm like, wow, that is a complete turnaround from what my first 2 or 3 experiences were, and that's what blows my mind. I'm having another taste just to make sure I'm not losing it. That fakey, cloyingly weird taste is not there anymore. Now it's more of a really nice, like Chinese allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a spice bomb, I would say. It's got some nice like caramel, bourbon-esque, sweet butterscotch. I mean, a lot of it's really thick, almost like taffy. Like, man, it's such a weird dram to me now that I honestly thought I was going to come here and say 0.25, no questions asked. But now it's like it's a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That is so weird when that happens, and that doesn't happen often. The only time this has ever happened and it didn't get better was that Octomore 7.3. That was the only one that never did it, even after like 6 months of oxidation. No, I'll take that back. Another bottle that did this to me was the Kalila 17 unpeated, and at first it was a 2.25 out of 5. It was way too salty, way too briny. It didn't have a lot of anything going on other than a boatload of salt and brine in your face. But after like 6 months, it was glorious, like 4.5 out of 5. And the only thing I could think of is with whiskeys like this is to get literally a decanter, pour it, in, if you're going to, if you already know you're going to have a few drams of it, pour it into a true decanter, let it sit out for a while and come back to it. Cause that's the only way I could get this palatable at all.
Yep.
That's so weird, man. I'm gonna have another pour.
Yeah, I'm in the 3.5 range for sure. I dig it.
Oh man, that's so crazy. Cause I swear I was thinking 0.25. It was that bad. I was so mad.
If you would have said 0.25, I would have freaked out. I mean, you're going into DH Silv territory with that.
I was pissed, dude. I was like, I can't believe
that's. But we appreciate your very discriminating palate.
Yeah, you're I love his candor. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how bad it felt the first 3 times, and now I come back and it doesn't have that. I guess the cinnamon just needed time and air to settle down.
So much cinnamon in this. So much cinnamon. I dig it, man. I dig it. I'm into it. This is good. I don't know if I'd go and blow $200 on it because there's you can get in a knock 24 for that price. I'm sorry.
If it was like 150, that would be pretty damn good.
Yeah, totally.
If you can find, I'm not sure if it'll ever be sold that cheaply, but if you could find it for 150, that would be a pull trigger. But definitely give it time. If you get it and you pop it open and you pour it and you hate it, please let it sit out for a while, because I tell you what, man, this is not the same dram. It feels like, and it's not even that far down the bottle, even though it feels like it's like, you know, a
Yep.
different bottle. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't get that at all, though, at all. Does it ever happen to you in a dram where you got it?
Totally. Usually in the reverse way, where I like it more the first time I try it and then don't like it the second time.
That happens to Bowmore, does it to me, like the 15.
Yeah, one more. Aberlour too. Aberlour 16 was an example of that for me. But yeah,
You have it and you think that's pretty good, and then you have some really good drams. You come back to it and you're like, "Ooh, this is a bit thinner than I thought it should, would be," or "This is a bit tamer than I thought it would be," kind of thing.
Yep.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Very much so.
I can't get over it, man. Because usually the average ratings on Distiller for this bottle is 4 out of 5, and I thought either I'm got a bad bottle or this really needs some serious decanting, and it's got to be what it is. It's just so weird that it took almost half the bottle to get to where it's like manageable spice level wise. Because he's right, it is like extremely spice heavy. But I do like it now. It's weird. Well, hell, I'm glad it turned out to be a better bottle, because I tell you what, the first 2 or 3 times I almost thought about writing to you and saying, "Hey, you know what? Let's just do the 16 and the 10." Isn't that be crazy if I wrote to you and was like, "Let's just do the 16 and 10 instead," and then you came back to it and you were like, "Well, this is actually a lot better than those. Why did you skip that one?"
Yeah. I dig it. I dig it.
Looks like they got it for 180 at if make sure it says Tide on it, TIDE. I think they do have an older 21 that's out. That's an not the same thing. So if you are looking to maybe swipe it, then yeah, we do need to pour something nice as a palate cleanser. But no, that 21 was no joke. That actually surprised me, Steve. And I'll tell you what, I'll be honest. I thought 0.25. That's how bad it was at the beginning. But after not drinking it for a while, coming back, having it poured out, having it sit out for a good half hour, I think it definitely helped. And I think that's the reason why now this one needs a lot of time to air out.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it.
Springbank 10, yeah, that is going to be a show we do down the road. We're looking at doing maybe a Springbank 10 or a 12 cast strength and something else if we can get our hands on it. That would be a fun one to do. Speaking of, let's see what we got for our next shows. I think we see something here. For some reason, my computer just took a vacation. Let me see if I can get to it on the side here. Maybe. What is it?
I don't know.
Let's see. Here we go. I'm just looking at our upcoming. It looks like we're going to take a look at the Dingston 12 and 20 when Eric comes back on the 10th. That'll be.
I will be offline next week, but Telex is going to keep the show going on his channel. So do take a second, give a thumbs up to this, subscribe to Telex the Whiskey Tack. He's going to be rocking his show solo or with some other guests next week, and then I will be back on the 10th. And we will continue the Tasty Tuesday Telex and Malt show, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to doing some Deanston. That is one distillery that I've always had a little liking for, so it'll be fun to look at the 12 and the 20, which is crazy. Oloroso
hell yeah, man.
infused. And I've had their 18 before, too. It's if you like more of a straightforward bourbon experience, the 18 is solid. I have a killed bottle back there, too, but that's another one to pick up if you're looking to maybe tackle a little Deanston with this on the week of the 10th. So that'll be a a huge fun one. And then we'll be going through Speyside, some Lechake, some Benromic, some Enoch, some Ardbegs again, Lafroig, some old classic Lagavulin and Macallan, and then we'll look into some Glendronach old school Allardyce. That'll be really fun too.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And we got some Glencaddam I know coming, and you talked
ton
about
of good stuff for Tasty Tuesday, man. We got a ton of good stuff coming for Tasty Tuesday, and deeply appreciate you all for hanging out. You know, we have a great damn time doing this.
And you've got that, not just the Lafroig. What was the other bottle that you just got recently again?
The Ballbler.
Oh yeah, and I'll be looking.
Lafroigs. Yeah, the Ballbler and the Lafroigs. So we'll figure out a time to get those in too.
And I'll be looking for that'll be my homework coming up soon on a new bottle. Is I'll be looking for a good new Ballbler to pick up that we can kind of compare it to, because all of us have had everything from like 83, 90, 99, 05, all the good vintage stuff from the old series. And now I'm kind of nervous. I'll be honest with you. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on the new Ballbler, so it'll be kind of
so have I. Yeah.
Fun to see.
It'll be fun to try it.
So that
I am. I got to sign off, my friend. As I mentioned, you know, I'll be offline next week, but I'll be back on the 10th, and we'll continue the Tasty Tuesdays. And until then, my friend, it has been fun. I will see you in 2 weeks, and much love to everybody in the Whiskey Tube community for hanging out. Subscribe to Telex. Give me a sub if you haven't. Put a thumbs up on this video. And until then, my friend, I will see you in 2 weeks from the West Coast office.
Thanks so much, man. And good luck to you in California while you're there.
Thanks, buddy, man. Appreciate it. Much love, man. Cheers.
That's it for now. Yeah. I'm so glad he was able to make it. I was kind of afraid because I know he was traveling. I'm not sure if it was for work or for pleasure, or but I know he was going all the way across country from Philadelphia to California. So that was a fun one. That was a surprising show, I'll be honest with you guys, because I thought I was going to just absolutely butcher that 21. I was like, this is not what I thought was going to happen. And I honestly thought it was going to be absolutely horrible after those two bad experiences. But I'm glad that we gave it some time. It does go to show, if you do open a bottle and, you know, you're not all into it at the beginning, sometimes it's worth taking a step back. I mean, this kind of goes with anything that you get involved with, whether it's work, you're frustrated trying to do a project. You just have to, sometimes you just have to stop, take a step back, take a deep breath, do some Tai Chi, and think, okay, maybe there's a way to make this better, and go through the motions. And I did. I tried longer on the oxidation. I tried more water. And even when that doesn't work out, sometimes it's just good to just step away, put it aside for a month or so, and come back to it. And that's exactly what happened here. I put it away for like a month. I didn't try it again, didn't touch it. Poured it out though, preparation for the show, left it out for a good half hour, and came to it, and it ended up being a 3.5 out of 5 when it was going to be a 0.25 out of 5. And that is a tremendous, huge difference. I mean, has anybody had that happen? And let me go through some of these old comments. I'm going to try to catch up on some of these. Maybe it's time for the first sip of the Jura Prophecy. That would be good. If you haven't already, definitely take a sip of that. Never had a Springbank 10, but a local barley in a 15. Wow. Hold on, Richie. So you've never had the Springbank 10 core, but you've had a local fucking barley and the 15? No wonder you put a smiley face after that, man. Local barley has many different years. There's the 9, the 10, the 16. Which version was you lucky enough to have? I had a 10. The bottle is in the other room, but I've had a 10 before that was really good. It was a sherry and bourbon, I believe. I know it wasn't just straight bourbon because I wanted to try to get the mix, or at least the sherry version of it. Yeah, we're gonna have to give you some Springbank 10, man. That's just sacrilegious not to have. It's a little expensive for a 10-year, man. They went like 75 for that like a few years ago even. Now it's probably up to like 85. It's crazy. Yeah, I already talked about that one. We're gonna have to maybe have a little another pour here. I can't believe he hasn't had the 10 yet either. 10 is very good. Yeah, you should have had it by now. That's for sure. Honestly, don't want to get a whiskey that I can't at least enjoy somewhat on the initial pour. You can. The thing you have to keep in mind on, so I'm sure you've run into, I mean, if you drink any wine, Stephen, I'm sure you've run into this before. Sometimes you have to pour it into a decanter before you even touch it. And this is one of those that I would get. I think it is worth it. It's good now, surprisingly. Um, Pour it, let it air out for a long, long time before we even touch it. It is a lot of work, though. I'm not saying do it just for the sake. I'm not saying it's worth over two. If you get it for 150, 180, though, that's actually not bad. A Springbank 10 versus 12. That would be good. That's going to be an option. I think if we do a Springbank show, guys, we'll probably do a Springbank 10 and maybe the 21 or the 18. That's what I'm thinking. Telex and Eric always have some great notes. I appreciate it, man. I was letting him ride on this one because I didn't want to be too influential on his. Because I honestly thought as soon as he popped that 21 and he took a. I mean, when he started talking about the nose, I was like, yeah, the nose is okay, but wait till you touch the palate. It's going to be freaking horrible. But that's not how it went. So it goes to show that there can be some surprises there. You crossed the line, sir. No. Oh, my. The Glen Scotia 15. That is great, too, man. I do love the Glen Scotia 15. If you have the Glen Scotia 14 Festival release 2020 Spectacular, that sounds good. I don't think is that a Fischl thing? Probably, if I have to take a guess on that one. Tawny Port possible. Okay. I'd like to try it. I'm not huge on Tawny Ports. I like Ruby better, but we'll see. Y'all open to hanging out after group? Yeah, might as well, man. I'm not in any hurry. Have you had the rum cast finish one from 2019? It's great value. That would be awesome, man. I have not, but I'd love to try it. If you're talking about the Glen Scotia deal, I believe. Appreciate the feedback, Andrew. Very cool of you. You missed the 2019 deal. Glen Scotia 14 is about 80 to 90, and it seems to be about a lot of different places around that price. That's surprising because that must be a California price they're calling, because you can actually get it a lot cheaper here on the East Coast. I've seen it as low as 65 and 70. Usually you can get around $70 here on the East Coast, at least. You guys have great prices on other brands, though. Our prices on Glendronach are horrible. Glendronach is way 20 to 30, 40, even $50 overpriced here. Glendronach there is cheaper, so at least you have that going for you. Wants to talk with us, too. Is that okay? Telex is getting after you. Crossing my fingers on getting the Springbank 10 local barley. Just glad to get the Kilkerran 8 Oloroso. Got the Kilhoman Small Batch 3 US, and it's very limited. I got something special to show you guys that's oncoming. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Playing with musical Glencairns here. Okay, we might even open one of these. What the hell, right? Glad you mentioned it. Let's take a look at these two guys. We'll start with this guy, actually. Here's a nice new one for you. This is a Kilhoman, slightly, and this is the weird thing, slightly peated bourbon barrel. This is a Jack Rose pick. This is 491 of 2011. This is from August the 22nd, 2011, bottled on May the 20th, 2020. This is a bourbon, a slightly peated bourbon barrel pick. And I am looking forward to this Jack Rose pick. This is going to be 56.5%. 56.5. So I think this is something that Steve and Connor might even enjoy on that one. We'll see. And not to be outdone, since he had two of these, my boy here in Maryland, my favorite place to buy a liquor from, he actually found me also a slightly peated sherry hogshead. Also, this is going to be 555 of 2012. This is from August 23rd, 2012, bottled May 20th, 2020. It's a sherry hogshead, slightly peated, Jack Rose picked as well. 56.2. 56.2. So this might be up your alley, Stephen, down the road. If you're, maybe I can throw these in for like a little tasting on the side if you're interested. We've got some shows I know to catch up on, and plus I've been meaning to get with Stephen and Kenny on a couple of drams. So if you let me know when you guys are available, because I think the next show is the one that he's out on, and that would be awesome if you guys can make it. Like check with Kenny if you don't mind, and see if you can make it for the 10th. At the latest. If you want to do it before then, that's fine too. But at least the 10th, we could do a show on a couple things that Kenny's sent, and I can get with you and see if you already have a couple of these as well, maybe. What's your most anticipated release of the upcoming holiday season? Oh, man. I tell you what, I haven't seen a lot of news, to be honest with you. But one thing that did catch my eye when I'm on the Kilhoman trip is they have a new Fino Sherry offering. It's a Fino Sherry cask that I would love to get just to reminisce about the Lafroig 2019 Fino Sherry release. I think it was 29. Was it 2018? Might have been 18 actually. 2018 Fino Sherry release. Lafroig was really a good one, I thought. And if Kilhoman has a new Fino Sherry, I think that would be worth a little look-see on the side. I'm just thinking. So that's on the radar. I know that Ardbeg has a new 19 batch 2 or batch whatever for their 19. I have an unopened bottle of their first batch, so I'm not even going that direction just yet. Trying to think if have you heard of anything that you think I might be in the mood for coming up. I've been trying to get some older bottlings of distilleries that I haven't really messed with. Like I just got that McKellen 18 that was way overpriced, but I did end up getting it. I'm looking forward to getting I am a fan of that Glencadam 21 that I picked up, so that was a good thing. Other than that, I'm looking for a Bladnock. I love their 15 Adela. I've been giving them praise for 3 years now, and I've been meaning to get their 17. But they also have a 25. The 25 is so highly priced, though. I wish they had a 2021 that would fill the gap, because their 17 is actually not that horribly priced. It's just the 25 is so much more. So Bladnock is one that I would love to get my hands on an older version. Just bought the Kilhoman US Batch 3 today. Should be here tomorrow. Okay. I've had single batches from them. I'm not sure what you mean by the U.S. single batch, but it must be like specifically for the United States, I'm assuming. Ruby Port and Sherry Finish. Now you're talking. That sounds like it would be right up my alley, because I love a Ruby Port and Sherry Finish. Oh, man. That's like music to my ears. Kilkerran 16 is what I'd love to get my hands on. I'm doubtful it will make it to my market. What state are you in, Molasses? Because you can find that easily here in Maryland, at least. I know Pennsylvania is tough, but Delaware should be pretty simple. If not Delaware or Maryland, if you're on the East Coast, you've got New Jersey has a good market. Just skip Pennsylvania and Virginia. Everywhere else is pretty decent, but I'm not sure. You could be in Alberta for all I know, so I'm not sure where you are. Let me know when you get a chance, and I could tell you maybe. Mine is the Kilkerran 16 that is going to be a regular production, comes out in December. Oh, cool. Kilkerran 16, man. Oh, the 12 is what I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Because, yeah, I've got the 12, the 15, the 8 cast strength, and the works in progress back there. The 16 does sound good and should be easy to get here in Maryland at least. I'm not sure about where Molasses is, but hopefully that's an option. I don't know if anyone's just tried the Kilkerran 16 yet. Is that even available? Oh, St. Louis, flower country, Missouri. I'm not familiar with what are the laws like in Missouri. Do you guys have state-run whiskey places, or is it like a free for all? Here in Maryland, it's really strange because we have counties have their own laws, so every county has a system that they go by. Some counties are a little more particular than others. Excuse me, like Montgomery County has specially run stores, while Anne Arundel County is just a complete free for all. It's really strange how the counties differ here, but I'm not sure if it's like that in Missouri. But let me know if your all's laws are like that, or if it's more like a Virginia, Pennsylvania run state system. If that's the case, then it does suck. I know it's kind of painful because it's like a they try to treat it as like a one size fits all type of thing, and markets aren't like that. So a good example of that is Old Pulteney doesn't sell very well in Maryland, even though it's a pretty good buy. I mean, I love the old 17 and 21. I like the new 15 even too, but it just doesn't sell as well. So you don't see a lot of it being picked up in Maryland, surprisingly. But what Cohen said is what I ordered. Should be incredible. Are you talking about the Kilkerran 16? That would be awesome if you already got a piece of that. Wow. Local RLs are okay, but no one can ship here. Okay, gotcha. Maryland's kind of weird because you can ship wine easily. Liquor is like a whole different thing, and I think it's per county, which is really crazy. That's the one thing that someone needs to come along and really fine tune in a good direction. I think the liquor shipping stuff. I mean, because if as long as you're 21, who the fuck cares? Honestly, I mean, if you got a card that says you're, a driver's license or an ID that says you're 21 years, who the hell cares? So just, I mean, why try to overregulate with state law and all that? It's like, and I'm getting political. I got to be careful. I have not picked up my order yet from K&L. That's where I bought the Kilholm and a ton of store pick stuff. Okay. Can I have free on Thursday the 5th? Okay. Oh, you're right. The next Tuesday is the election. Better not be doing a show on a Tuesday night election. You're right, dude. We're going to have to skip that one, I guess. Maybe I should do a show just for fun. Some people might not like my politics, though. So that'd be a surefire way to get rid of like half the subscribers is to have like a political show on election night. That would really unfortunately piss a lot of people off because I know half of you guys would like what I would be saying and half of you guys would really be hating it. So I'm gonna refrain from going in that direction. I'd be asking for punishment. I don't want to alienate anybody as far as, people that don't think the same way that I do. So that would be bad. So we better, let's do Thursday. Sounds good. Let me think here. That would be the 29th. Let me make sure before I say a definite yes. Let me take a look at the quick calendar here, if you don't mind. And of course, I got to jump through all the login hoops and hurdles. Oh, geez. gmail.com. Commercials for them. Let's see. Calendar. I thought I had it on here. Maybe I don't. I don't think I'm logged into the right account. Let's switch. Here we go. Now we're in the right one. 29th. Sounds good to me, man. Let's lock it in. Connor. Tasting. I'm going to assume 8 p.m. Eastern. Might as well. 8 p.m. Eastern sounds good to me. And let me put this where everyone here can see it so they don't know what the hell. Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern. Cool. All right. Does that work for you, Stephen? 8 p.m. Eastern? November the 5th. Oh, you're seeing wait till November 5th. Thursday the 5th. Okay, sorry. Let me go back and fix that then. It's always something, I tell you. Let me move the 28th, 29th, I'm sorry, to the 5th. Edit. And November the 5th. Maybe. No, November 5th is a Saturday, dude. I think. No, it's December. What the hell am I doing? I'm back. I'm too far forward here. Let's see. Here we go. The 5th. Okay, gotcha. All right. Save. So November the 5th. I've got it on there. Perfect. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to fine-tune some dates. Where was I? Okay, here we go. Wine and Cheese Place is a good shop. Used to order from them all the time. Wine and Cheese Place. I'll have to keep that in mind. That's my shop. I got you on the November 5th. Kilkerran 16 is bourbon cask at 46 ABV, and probably will have to buy it in the UK until it gets here. Oh man, probably $100-ish, but that's a good price for it. Kilkerran 16, are you kidding me? I'd be surprised they don't charge $125 for that shit. Has a less sherry influence than the 12. Oh, that I'm not too keen on. But the 12 really didn't have a whole lot of sherry. I mean, it had some good sherry influence, but not a whole lot as it was in the beginning. But I'm still intrigued because I love the 12. Did you catch the Kilkerran stream today on the J&A Mitchell channel? I'm not familiar with that one. 8 p.m. works, brother. Cool. It's Eastern time, if you don't mind, Stephen. No, Central for you would be 7. Hopefully that's not too early, but I try to get it. The Scotch 4 Dummies do a show, I think, that starts at 10, so we should have plenty of time to have fun and frolic before we lose a lot of people that roll over there at I think they start at either 9 or 10, one of the two, so that should be good. No, I didn't see today's stream, but I wanted to watch the last one. Yeah. Did you hear that Springbank is coming out with the Oloroso Sherry Mature Local Barley? No, I did not. That sounds damn good. Do you know what the age statement is on that, Stephen? It's kind of funny because the first and I'm not a long time connoisseur by any means for Springbank, but I do love their stuff. When I got into the game 4 or 5 years ago, it seemed like the 16 local barley was their show, was their cream of the crop. Now, is that the oldest local barley they ever did? And have they done one since then? Because after that, I know they did a 9 and 2 different 10-year-old releases. The 9 was, I believe, I can't remember which one were bourbons, which ones were sherry, but one was a bourbon, one was a sherry, and one was a bourbon. It was a 9, a 10, and a 10. I think there was a 9 that was I can't remember which one. I know that there was a 10 that was a sherry and 10 that was a bourbon, I believe. But either way, man, that sounds really damn good. Do you know what the year is going to be? That's what I was going for. When is that happening? Yeah, that's a good question too. When he is 10-year, okay, released in November of this year. Hmm. I do like it. I've had a 10. It was sherry influence. I don't know if it was Oloroso. But I was lucky enough to have a 10 sherry already, so I'm not sure if I'll pull the trigger on that again, since it is so highly priced. I think the 175 was the price on the 10 after the fact. I think the initial price was like 120 if you could find it, but it easily goes up secondary market prices to almost $200 to $300 after the fact. The 16 I know is like astronomically higher now. Um, but I'd love to definitely maybe give it a try. But since I've already got a 10 sherry, I don't know if I'm gonna go on that one again. And I see it was a Hazelburn on the stream today. Okay, I do like Hazelburns too. Man, there's nothing better than a 14-year-old the Oloroso Hazelburn. Oh man, it's awesome. I love that taste. Springbank is coming out with in November a 8-year PX cast too. Wow, man, Springbank is coming out with a lot of good shit. It sounds like. Cohen, it looks like they haven't posted today's stream yet. Doing one every day. Wow, every day this week. Okay, I didn't know Springbank was doing that. That's really good to know, though. The one that is posted now is Hazelburn. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that because that's one that I have not. Trying to think. I was not aware of the PX or the other goodies they were releasing soon. 70% bourbon SB12 is, yeah, that is really, 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 really good. That's one thing that's funny. No, I like Springbank Port cast matured. I have a 19-year-old. I think I still have it back there. Yeah, I have a Springbank 19 Port cast matured back there that's really damn good. I've had lots of their. They do really well with bourbon casks. I'm thinking that they're a better bourbon cask maturation distillery than a sherried one. I'm not sure if I should say that though. I'm trying to think if I've had any of their really good sherry cast. Maybe I haven't had any good sherry cast matured Springbanks yet. I should get something, as I know they had for like 280. I mean, it was kind of high, but a 19-year-old sherry cast matured Springbank, that would be pretty good. I have a feeling. What do you guys like for Springbank? Do you like their bourbon stuff better? Do you like their off the wall stuff, like their greens or their port cast matured better, or do you like the sherried stuff better? What's like? What do you think they do the best? What is like if you're going to go for a Springbank? If you're going to go for bourbon, sherried, port, sauternes, Barolo, whatever it may be, what do you think they do the best when it comes to their? I mean, I know there's a lot of options out there for Springbank. They do about everything. I should get more into their sherried stuff. Tomorrow's Cadenheads. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I just haven't got lucky enough to try any yet. I think because I'll be honest with you, the that 10 supposedly sherried influenced local barley did not have a lot of sherried influence in it for me, so I was kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, 15 is a good one. I've heard the 18 is kind of hit or miss. That's the one I think that some people love it and some people not so much, depending on what they get. I think 15 is the one that was a little more consistent, but I'm trying to remember which one it was. It's either the 15 or the 18. Almost bought that 19 for 300. Was too much for me to do it. I tell you what, man, Cohen. This one, when I think it was 280 when I paid for it, but this was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was 280, and it was worth it, every penny. It was that good, that complex. Raspberry compote, dark chocolate. It had the ABV. It had an age statement. It wasn't colored. It wasn't chill filtered. That is worth it, my friend. If you can, I mean, I know it's a lot, but for a 19-year Springbank that's got that kind of that craftsmanship, artisanship to it, it's really hard not to say that it's getting close to worth it on that. It's a tough one. I mean, here's the way I look at it. To be honest with you, Cohen, I would look at it like Macallan versus Springbank. Okay, now Macallan 18 you can get for about the same price, sadly, 320 to 340 actually for a Macallan 18. Is it good? It's a good whiskey. Is it worth plus 300? No. Fuck no. No. No, 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 no. That's why with something like Springbank, I give, even though it's only a 19 and I know $300 is a lot of money, it's like with all the craftsmanship that they put into it, it's almost like, a woodworker. If you can go and buy some crappy, decent table and chairs and spend a couple $100 and get, a decent set, but you can get like the Amish works, like the guy that knows how to build every dovetail angle you could possibly think of with, I'm not sure what the equivalent of crown molding is when it comes to furniture, but like all the, intricacies and the detail and the different types of wood and the smell alone, it will kill you on some of these. I mean, in a good way, on some of these really well crafted works of art when it comes to wood. To me, with whiskey, it's the same thing. Like, I noticed a huge difference. If I sat down and even blind, it gave me the Macallan 18 in the glass, it gave me that Springbank 19 in the glass, port cast matured. And I just tasted the Macallan 18 not too long ago, so I've got that well in my mind. It's good, but the complexity and the feeling of age you get off the 19, even though it's 1 year difference, to me is so dramatic. It's worth the extra $100 just to get it. It's hard to explain. You don't get it from even the Fine Oak series of Macallan. You don't get it. The only other way I can get that type of feeling is if I went all in like on a Brooklady Black Arts 23-year-old. That's kind of like the realm you're dealing with here, and that's why, to me, it's worth the extra buck for that. Do I wish it was $200 instead of $300 though? I will agree with you there, man. But definitely, 12 cast strength is outstanding. It changes, and 10 is so good. That's true. Excuse me, guys. I was looking at my hands in the Kilkerran heavily peated batch 3. That's funny. I was lucky enough to have the batch 1. I know they released a batch 2, and I didn't even know the 3 was already out. The 1 was pretty good. It was a little rough around the edges, but I've heard that the 2 is better. It would be interesting to see what the 3 is like. How is that reviewing, Molasses? Have you already caught a couple of reviews on that and on batch 3? And is it as popular in ratings as the 1 and 2, or is it? If I'm not mistaken, I think the 1 was decent, but the 2 is actually a little bit better. I'm wondering if 3 is even more, or if it's going to be one of those roller coasters where you get up and you kind of plateau, or if it's going to be one of those when you get up the hill and you go straight back down again. What is that batch 3 going to be like? Would love to try a Springbank with a port finish. There are a lot of Springbank wine finishes I want to try. Well, I'll tell you what, Conan, if you're going to do a port maturation on a whiskey, and I'm talking a true Scotch whiskey, it's hard to beat that Springbank. I mean, I know it's pricey. I know it's a pain in the ass, but once you've gone through all the Glendronach peated port pipes and regular port, and you've done the port from Tullibardine, you've done the port from Kilchoman, even you go through the all these port whiskeys. To me, the Ruby is the way to go. I'm not a huge fan of the tawny stuff as much. I like a really good fruit. Like when I want a true port, I want a lot of fruit influence. I don't want all the other stuff as much. I want that fruit to be solid. I want it to be sweet, but yet I want some roundness to it. I want some maturation. I want some savory notes with it. Um, I still would go for the Springbank before a lot of other whiskeys. It's hard to find a well done port maturation. The only other whiskey that I would give any time of day over port finishes are the Lafroy Carriages 2013, which is going to cost you a hell of a lot more than $300, or the Brodeur's Batch 1 and 2, which is also going to cost you about the same, if not more. Recently, I had a port that was pretty good. I'm trying to remember what it was, though. The Krakenmore Distillers Edition is okay, but not near as good as some of these other ones. And that Springbank 19 has definitely got to be ruby. If it was tawny, I would be really surprised by the style, because it's very fruit forward, very compote heavy. The great thing about that dram, that 19 Springbank, is it's got basil and it's got a mint and a lot of really good herbal notes with it. If you don't mind herbal notes in your whiskey and you love a good fruit, dark chocolate, oh man, that one is solid. That's a solid whiskey. I want a Kilkerran 15 single barrel. It's crazy priced on secondary, $450 to $600. Oh man, yeah. That I was lucky enough to grab that 15 Oloroso. That was the style that I had. There was a lot of options for that 15. The port, yeah, I think was that was the European one. I think they had a PX and a couple other ones, man. I wish I had the money to get all the versions, because I am a huge Kilkerran fan, and I would still love to get them. I'm not going to pay those kind of prices, $450 to $600 for it, but a couple $100 wouldn't be no problem. And that 15, that Oloroso was well worth, like, I forget what I paid for it. It wasn't nearly that high. It was under 200, I think, but I think it was around 150 to 160, and it was worth every penny. So that was a damn good one, I think. The Whiskey Friend reviewed the Batch 3. Okay, I will look for that molasses on the side and see if I can find a Whiskey Friend review and see what he thought of that one. It will never live up to that price. Yeah. That's the tough thing when it comes to pricing some of these secondary whiskeys, is that, what is it really worth? I guess if I was, a Wall Street worker or a day trader that was really good at what he did and was raking in dough, and $500-600 wasn't that big of a deal, then yeah. But to me, it's rare that I go over $300 or $400 for a whiskey unless it's notably worth it. I mean, it's got to be tight for that. Springers can be great with any cask, especially since it's a big distillate. Yeah, I've had a very good rum, port, bourbon, sherry, all different types Springers. Yeah, that's a good point. They do really well. I love their green. What do you think of their green series, Steve? And I know it's not like aged probably as much as you typically like or have as high. I can't remember all my Springbanks are in the closet. The green, I think, was 46 to 48. 13 to 12 years is it's not an old whiskey. It's an organic, it's a different type of barley, and I definitely get a different twist when I taste a Springbank green. What did you think of the green series? I'm just curious if you thought it was, up to snuff, or if you thought it wasn't as good. The first sip, I wasn't a huge fan. I had it during Christmas a few years ago, but the more I gave it time and sipped it, the more I got into it. And by the end of the Christmas weekend, I was a fan. So I think it's one of those that sometimes it's so different. It takes a little time to warm up to it, kind of thing. Yeah, that was 150-ish when it came out, like all the other 15s. Okay, I think that's about what I paid for it. At 500 bottles, it's collector territory. Yeah, that's when you have to draw a line when it gets above like 3. I think that's the top of the line price wise. I would put on that. I mean, I wouldn't even want to go above 2, but if I had to, I would definitely put top notch. Don't go a dollar above it, 3 for that Kilkerran 15. But even that is seems when you're talking about Springbank 19s getting 3, that's when it's like, man, that's like 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like 4 or 5 years, difference. But I never had it. I've had all of the local barleys in the 16 is Sublime. Yeah, that's one that I think I had a tasting. I can't remember. I believe I had a tasting of it. Never had my own bottle of the 16, but I did have the 10. I'd love to get my own 16 bottle at some point, but that's going to be one of those. Someone's going to want like $500-$600 for it. And there's just no way. It's just not worth that, no matter how good it is, But it is what it is. Well, I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I've been talking up a storm. I didn't even get to sip any of my Kilhomans, damn it. Well, I'm gonna wait and open up those later. We will be doing at some point. I'll talk Malt and sending one of his Moncure Bay cast strengths, hopefully, and I'll send him a couple of these slightly peated. It's so funny because when I called my guy in Petite Cellars and I'm like, hey, what do you got coming out soon? What's on the menu for this month? And he was like, well, you might be interested in maybe some slightly peated Kilhomans. I'm like, slightly peated? That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Every Isla distillery should try to do an unpeated offering just to see what their juice is really like, I guess, without all the peat to an extent. Kalila does a great job, by the way, on unpeated offerings, I have to say, with oxidation on the 17 at least. I love after oxidation, the 17, the 15's good. But Haven's got some interesting unpeated stuff that's really, really good, I have to say. The only one I've had, Ardbeg unpeated is the closest to that you can get is the Blazda. That's pretty decent stuff. I don't think Lafroig or Ardbeg Lafroig or Lagavulin. Has Lafroig or Lagavulin ever done an unpeated malt? I don't think they have. If anyone knows, I know it's getting late, but send me some comments after the fact on the side, and let me know on the stream comments-wise if you've ever heard of a Lagavulin or a Lafroig unpeated offering. That would be something hard to find, I would think. Whiskey Mystery bought all the local barleys. Yeah, that's the problem. Is they're really hard to find after they get, they don't make a whole lot of. Springbanks are tough because they make only so many for a yield for a release. It's in sometimes even just the hundreds, like a few hundred, and sometimes they can get up to a few thousand, but it's not often. I spent $95 on the Kilkerran 8 Oloroso and $115 at Wally's over the weekend. Wow, it was worth it because they were one and done. Freud has an unpeated. Oh, sorry. Freud has an unpeated from the 1930s or 40s, I believe. Wow. Well, I could guarantee I won't be able to afford that piece of history. That would be awesome to taste it, though. But wow, that's on my bucket list to taste the 1930s or 40s unpeated Lafroig offering. Dodgers 3 more outs for being champs. Oh no. Well, on that note, guys, I really appreciate y'all stopping by. It's been fun as usual. Thanks for humoring me trying to find the decent Jura. It's so weird to wrap things up. The 10 I would skip unless you're just looking for a daily sipper that's is cheap and you just want some smoke and that's all you're really interested in. It's got slight peat, but we're talking minuscule practically. The 16 is definitely the way I would go for a consistent dram of something decent. You might not be able to find it very easily, unfortunately. But the 16, I think, is a solid go-to. I wouldn't spend over $90, maybe 100 at the very max for it. And this 21 really took me for a ride. 0.25 out of 5, and then a 3.5 out of 5. That is just crazy. I'm going to go back to that and reapproach it and see if it gets better, maybe with even more oxidation, or if it's sometimes, unfortunately, you get those bottles where you go up and it's not good without oxidation. You finally get your oxidation, but yet since it can only last for so long on some of these drams, it goes down, and then it starts to either get weak or it gets overly abundant on a particular note on the side. So you got to be careful about that too. So, but I'm glad at least we took a journey. Now, if I was going to do another one, I don't know if I would take the gamble. I think this is one of those where if you were going to go all in, I would go for the 21, but I would decant the shit out of it. And also for something a little different, but something maybe even better, would be a really high-end independent bottling. And I'm talking like a Delphi, possibly Cadence Head, Signatory, Blackadder sometimes does decent ones. That's a hit or miss one I've heard. Oh man, any of the really good. Definitely go for the independent bottling people that you trust. That is where Scotch Malt Whisky Society. That would be one I would go for a Jura. They typically don't stick around. The only problem with SMWS is that whole membership/shipping business. That's what really hurts. That's why sometimes I'm thinking, you know what, Adelphi might be my go-to, independent bottling, because every Adelphi I've had has been top-notch good. I haven't been disappointed with one of theirs. If I go outside and do Alexander Murray, or if I do Gordon MacPhail's, or if I could do definitely like Battle Hill and shit like that, I get disappointed left and right. It's like, a good bottle and then two bad bottles and then two good bottles and then two bad bottles. You don't want to go through life like that, especially when you're spending more than $50 for a bottle. So I would definitely talk to your folks as far as who you trust and which independent bottlings to go with. So that's something to keep on. I'm signing off here just in a couple seconds here, Richie. I was on a roll, having some fun. Also, one called Glen Muir from Lefroy released not too long ago. Wow. Okay, for unpeated, I'll definitely will look for that. Glen Muir. Wow, you've got an answer for everything. That's crazy. Good job on finding that. Do you have a go-to Scotch bottle for this year? And the Prophecy will be greatly missed. Yeah, the Prophecy I've heard was one of their better offerings. So if you aren't going for age for the 21, and I know it's a bit on the pricier end, Prophecy I've heard he's not the only one I've heard is definitely a side pickup. So that might be something. Go to for this year so far, man. It's a tough one. I mean, I'll be honest. The Carriages 2020 port and wine was not as good as I was hoping for. I do love still the Bunnahabhain 18. If I was going to go for a Bunnahabhain, the Kilchoman's, the Omburik was great. I like it. I love that one a lot, even though it was a mess technically. I thought that was a damn good bottle and very one of a kind. If you could find it, I would definitely pick it up. I was not too much into the Lefroy 16 from this last year. It's a little too woody for me. The Ardbegs, the black, I thought was pretty good. I liked it more than a lot of other people, though. So that's one of those things that's probably more in the subjective area. So I think I'm going to stick. I mean, the Aaron 21 was probably my go-to. I liked it a lot more than the Benriach 21 from this last year. And Benriach's no joke. They have some really good whiskey with the Septem Decim, the Solstice, and the Authenticatus, I can't even say Authenticus or whatever you want to call it. Authenticus, whatever. They have all these really crazy, almost Latin-like names for some of their drams. They're almost unpronounceable, but with that said, the Aaron 21, I think, is my go-to so far. The year's not over with. I have not opened up that Ardbeg 19, but it is batch 1. It's an older batch, so that won't really, I guess, classify for this year. But the Aaron 21, I think I'm going to have to say is really a solid bottle that if you're looking for something, that's what I would pick up soon. That maybe have been this April's Fool's joke. Oh, like Glenmore. I'll look it up. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, so don't really have a go-to. There's so many. Yeah, it's really tough. Maybe yeah, and that's a good one that I did love this last year too. Is the Glenelg 17. That's high up there. I do want to do with malt in the future, the 23, and maybe even something else. We've done the 13 and the 17. 17 is much better than the 13, I think. I've heard the 23 is good, but I'm not sure how much better than the 17 it is. So that is going to be an interesting kind of a look. That is on the radar. So stay tuned for the Gillicky 23 in a different bottle. I'm not sure which other one we might do, but that is one that I would love to try because I do like Gillicky. And 2020 has been a crazy ass year by far. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I better get out of here because I have to work tomorrow. I haven't been drinking that much, though. I've just been having fun chatting with you guys as usual. Thanks so much for stopping by. Give me a thumbs up before you go if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. I really appreciate the feedback. Feel free to ask a question in the comments after the fact if you guys don't get to go to the show. And I try to make it informative. I appreciate the good feedback from Molasses and Richie Z. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those, really good examples of you never know what you're really going to get until you get into it and experience it. And I'm just so glad that the 21 ended up being better than I initially thought, because to give a score of 0.25 on a $200 bottle of scotch is really depressing, to be honest with you. So, and it wasn't just wishful thinking. I gave it 3 chances and it failed, but thankfully that 4th month later chance is what it needed. So, Slanchava, guys, for now. And the Rams are not going to win, Cohen. I'm sorry. It's all Ravens, baby. We'll see you on the field, I'm sure, soon to come. The purple pain train's coming for you. And salute to all you other non-football fans out there as well. Hopefully you get a good dram. We will be taking a look at the Speyside Distillery. I know it's funny because Speyside's a region as well, but there is a distillery called Speyside that releases drams under the Speyside name and just a Spey name that we'll be taking a look at, as well as the Deanston Distillery, the 12 and the 20 Oloroso. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys next time soon. Slanchava for now.